You're listening to The Pete Sheppard Show.
It's good to be back.
Ford in motion. Winston under pressure. Gonna run it into the end zone. Whoa. Rush 3, drop 8. Now a late rush. Thrown up for grabs in the end zone. How does this one end? Incomplete. Right down to the nub.
Wow! A blizzard last night in Cleveland. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a unbelievable, freaky football Friday here on the Coastal Sports Network. This is going to be a jam-packed show, so strap in and get ready to roll, baby. We are just jam-packed and loaded today. Welcome, everybody, to the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thanks for checking me out on the Coastal Sports Network. Awesome video platform, as well as the app on 1029 The Game and sr1029thegame.com. Follow me on Twitter, X. I got a piece of toast stuck in my teeth. Sorry about that. Late breakfast. Prepping all morning long for this show. It's been amazing and so much fun. Great show lined up for you today. Again, thanks for checking us out on the video platform. Follow me on Twitter, X at pshep326, Facebook, IONTB, CSN Florida, Rumble, Kick, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, and always call or text the show, 727-858-6650. This is going to fly by, so I'm telling you right now, get ready, jam-packed as well. The Cleveland Browns do what they have done excuse me, a lot over the years, is beat the Steelers at home. 1-5-1 the Steelers are in their last 7 visiting to Cleveland. In a blizzard last night, somehow Jameis Winston was good when he had to be. Excuse me. And we'll hear from him and how God wanted him to play in the snow. That's coming up. I kid you not. Cleveland wins 24-19. If we get to it, an interesting Daniel Jones situation with the Giants. He did a speech yesterday. I thought he was going to retire. It was very odd. We'll get to that. The Tampa Bay Rays situation, we're going to get to that. All bunch of college football. The big story, really, if it wasn't for the blizzard last night, the big story around sports overall is Bryce Underwood, the number 1 ranked recruit for 2025, has flipped from LSU to Michigan. We told you this was going to happen before Adam Schefter did. We told you it was going to happen on Tuesday, and I can prove it with my man Jay Flannelly, who's going to join us at the bottom of the hour from Ann Arbor. But I went back in the archives, and for a clip from Tuesday's show when we talked about it, trust me, we had it 2 days before anybody else, believe me. But that is one absolute huge story. Michigan gets their highest recruit in the history of the program. Think about that for a second. Let that sink in. Meanwhile, the Tampa Bay Rays, let this sink in. I don't know what the hell is going on. I listened to the video, the audio of council people yesterday, Richard Floyd, Brandy Gabbard, Rays president Brian Ald, Mayor Ken it is a cluster bleep in Tampa with this stuff, what's going on with between Tropicana Field and going on with the Rays. They're going to stay, they're going to go. And joining me at 8:05 a.m. this morning is going to be Ara Parsegian from 10 Tampa Bay WTSP. He's going to join me, and we're going to try to sort all this stuff out. And he was doing a report last night. Was just starting to finish up, and then the producer in his ear tells him, whoa. It's the worst thing that could happen to a reporter. He handled it brilliantly. When you're ready to finish up, and all of a sudden they find out the council members have changed their tune again about this, that, or the other thing, about millions of dollars being for the roof and where they're going to go, where they're going to stay. But we'll get to Aaron Parsegian and talk with him at 8:05. I'll have my pigskin picks at 8:30. I have John Mita Perrell at 9:05 a.m. We're talking North Carolina, Boston College football game in the ACC. And then Gabe Barenzi will close out the show with his picks coming up at 9:30 this morning. Sports Rage always entertaining. The Bruins win last night to get back on track, 1-0. By the way, Ryan Johnston, the play-by-play voice for the Bruins on television now on NESN, he will be joining me on Monday. It'll be a short week of shows next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I can tell you this, we're going to close out Wednesday from 9:15 to 9:45 with Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petrocelli. He's going to join me, and I'll get into all of that maybe a little bit later on. If not, I'll preview all of it on Monday. We just got so much to talk about as well. What else? We got Orlando beat the Lakers last night. We got, we'll have an NBA and NHL rundown. I'll try to get and cram as much as I can in, but really this is going to be it's going to be a big-time football show, obviously, on Friday. But stuff coming up at 8 o'clock at 8:05 with Aaron Parsegian from the Tampa 10. I can't wait because it is – maybe he can sort it out for us. It's very confusing for those. It just – everybody is, as Gordon Ramsay would say, it seems to have lost the plot. And it's just people, bickering and moaning, and they can't get everybody on the same page. But we'll discuss that and a lot more. Angel Martinez, good morning to you. It is 52 degrees this morning here in Fort Myers. People are in snorkels and gloves and hats and mittens. And then last night's game, Angel could not turn it off. Not only was it was an excellent football game, but there is nothing more fun, right, in sports than watching a football game in a blizzard. I knew the weather was going to be somewhat bad. I didn't know it was going to be that bad, but holy crap, that was something to see. How you doing?
Good, Pete. Excuse me. Wow. Start out that way. But yeah, Pete. And yeah, other than Jameis Winston talking about after the game that he loved the snow and stomping around and stuff, I'd rather see it from a distance because I've seen it for many, many years. And by the way, guess what? Guy starts out this morning, says, "Good morning, fellas. Hope you guys have a great day. Can't wait for the show. Hey, Pete, did you see the Tampa Bay Lightning Jets game last night? Holy moly, that was a blast."
Yeah, 7-6. They lost in overtime to Columbus. Yeah, I watched very little of it, to be honest with you. I had the Bruins on. I was watching football. I was watching college football, Georgia Tech. Another great come-from-behind win for them, NC State. So I didn't see a whole lot of the Tampa Bay game last night. I'm sorry. And my focus was, trying to get the show lined up and going back and forth with Jay Flannelly in Ann Arbor, trying to, everybody getting on the same page here. So, but it was great, right? It was fun watching that game last night in the blizzard, wasn't it? Just like as you said,
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have to be in it anymore. But it just reminds you of playing, for those of you who from the Northeast or the Midwest and school, you're younger, playing out in the snow, 4-on-4, 5-on-5. Those were fun times. Sometimes even in the street. Forget a field. Depending on where everybody lived, and sometimes just playing the street, and it was the original AstroTurf, sliding around the concrete. Tackle football too. No helmets, no pads. Stupid. When I think about how I didn't bust there were times, I'm talking like mostly 5th and 6th grade, 7th grade maybe a little bit. We would get together before Patriots or any games on Sunday, or it's usually Sunday. There would be like 8 of us get together and play tackle football with no pads, no helmets, nothing. To a degree. I mean, you didn't try it, but I mean, we had some vicious hits. It was like what Leo Papali, in what do you call it? The Eagles movie there. Where Vince Papali. When they're playing that kind of football in the parking lot, no pads. It wasn't quite as intense as that because they had like 11 on 11, but it was close to that. We were crazy stupid. Some of the hits we'd have, horse collars, and they're all bundled up and everything, It's just like.
That's what you did. I mean, that was the fun part about living out in the city. It's the other part was that during the summertime, if the local park was taken because they had the baseball games and you played baseball, same thing on the street, and then go sliding into home on asphalt. Let me know how that works out for you when you have nothing but a rash and then you just get up, brush off the excess rocks and dirt, and you just keep it moving. So it's fun times as a child up in the Northeast.
Speaking of fun times, and I want to cram as much in as possible because once Jay Flannelly gets on at 7:30 this morning, the show is going to fly by because I got a whole bunch of guests, as you heard. This is Jameis Winston last night, a pregame message with Kaylee Harding.
You have said you don't become a Brown until you beat the Steelers. What will it take tonight?
The horse is prepared for battle, but victory comes from the Lord. So I'm dependent on the Lord.
Is that the message to the team?
Day by day, one play at a time. That's the message.
Weather conditions tonight. We're expecting winds up to 15 miles per hour in a wintry mix. How will that impact your ability to throw the ball?
I am so happy and grateful that the Lord has blessed me to play in some snow, to be in true football weather in Cleveland, Ohio at Huntington Bank Field today to give him the glory. It's a beautiful day.
Sure feels like you're playing in the AFC North.
It is. It's magical. Thank you.
You have
All right.
It reminds me of that scene in Hoosiers, you know, in the it's the semifinal game. Remember Strap, the preacher's son?
Yeah.
And he always prayed before he went into the game and all that, and he's praying, and it's taking a little bit longer after the timeout, and then Gene Hackman finally, because he's knelt down, and Gene Hackman leans down and says, "Strap, God wants you on the floor." And you get a big smile. It's a great scene, absolutely. And the kid goes, just don't. He goes, and then he started to score points. Remember, he comes back. They call a timeout. He's like, "What's gotten into you?" Because the kid never scored. He goes, "Oh, the Lord." He goes, "I feel His strength." He goes, "Well, keep your strength in the dribble." Great line, great line. Anyway, the Browns win last night, 24-19. The Lord was not on the side of the Steelers, especially at the end of the game when they allowed the kicker to change his cleats and take a whole bunch of time off the clock, which the Steelers were not happy about. Jameis yesterday in the blizzard, 18-27, 219 yards, touchdown, no touchdowns and an interception. Russell Wilson played really well too, 21 of 28, 270 yards, a touchdown and an interception as well. But it was great. I played you the mini Hail Mary at the end. That happened. Here's the go-ahead touchdown by Nick Chubb.
From the gun. Hands it off. To the end zone goes Chubb.
Now, for those of you who didn't see the game last night, Angel, if we could scroll down on my Twitter account, there's a couple things I do want to show you. A couple of plays. First one it's down on awful announcing. Boswell's kick, and Al Michaels was kind of a funny. It was very hard to see. Very hard to see. We'll play the awful announcing one first, and then the Adam Schefter one later, a little bit in a few minutes.
The Steelers all they can handle. 28-yard attempt. Corliss Waitman to put it down. Boswell's kick, if you can find it, good luck. Is good. I don't know. I lost sight of it. Somebody had a GPS on it. 10-6. The Steelers.
All right, if we could scroll up again, here's the final play. Adam Schefter on the Browns winning. Hail Mary by Russell Wilson. They knocked it down.
Hey, come on. Come back. Here we go. All right. Play.
Incomplete.
Rewind.
Right down to the nub.
Yeah.
Rush 3. Drop 8. Now a late rush. Thrown up for grabs in the end zone. How does this one end? Incomplete. Right down to the nub.
See, that's how it ended. And Pickens, by the way, at the end of the game, had another little hissy fit, got in trouble, was probably going to get suspended, or he's going to get fined. He may get suspended. He's got another tiff with a Browns player at the end. You probably didn't see, but there was a little tussle. Absolutely ridiculous. The Browns had blown a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter. They were down 19-18 before getting the ball back with 3:22 to go after Pittsburgh punter Corliss Waitman shanked a 16-yarder. So, but it ended up being a very, very entertaining football game as well. Let me see if we can find Mike Tomlin post-game press conference.
You know, first I'd like to start by complimenting the Cleveland Browns, man. I thought they brought it tonight. It was a hard-fought game. They made more plays over the course of 60 minutes than we did. Obviously, we got to own our portions of it, particularly early on, man. I thought it took us too long to warm up to the action. We were penalized, some pre-snap penalties. It just wasn't really sharp. We got going, our guys fought, but it wasn't enough to secure victory. And so it's painful, but it's life in this business. We'll take a look at the tape and learn from it, man. We're in the midst of some thick AFC North action, and so no rest for the weary, man. We got a big one coming up. But again, Compliment the Browns on bringing it, particularly early on. Took us too long to warm up to the action. Questions?
Mike, they sacked Russ 4 times, I think 3 in the first half. What were they doing that was effective?
I guess that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying it took us too long to warm up to the action. They brought it, and they brought it instantly early on. Thought we settled down and got competitive, but as you mentioned, it produced some negativity, particularly in the first half.
Can you explain what happened on that call where you ended up accepting the penalty after they said you declined? Why did you accept?
I thought it was a grounding. Initially, I couldn't hear the officials. I thought it was a grounding. When I realized that it wasn't ruled a grounding, I got information from them and made the call that we wanted to make. The distance was more important to us. If it wasn't grounding, we wanted to move them 5 yards back. They were potentially kicking into the wind, and so we wanted to stop them and make the field goal a longer one.
Mike, what were they able to do in the middle of the field in the passing game?
I don't know that I felt a lot of things there. I'd have to look at the tape. I don't know that it was a consistent pattern there. They made some plays.
Mike, is there a common denominator to the short yardage struggles you guys have had, particularly on 3rd and 4th and short?
I'd have to take a look at it, but more than anything, I thought they brought it tonight.
Yeah, that's Mike Tomlin. Let me play this real quick. By the way, Cleveland went 1 for 10 on 3rd downs last night, but they went 4 for 4 on 4th downs, which was a big stat in the game. Here's what happened with the George Pickens situation, thanks to Prime.
Rush 3, drop A. Now a late rush. Thrown up for grabs in the end zone. How does this one end? Incomplete. Right down to the nub. Denzel Ward knocks it down. Jordan Hicks, a late rush that time, put the heat on. They rushed 3 initially. Hicks came late, put the heat on. Now you got Pickens upset about something to pull him away. Jameis Winston, 10th year in the league. People want to know, where did Jameis Winston go?
Here he is.
He went to Cleveland as the backup. He was actually the number 3 quarterback at one point.
Well, this defense got the pressure most of the night, did what they had to do. This time, this ball, the moon ball, the infamous moon ball up in the air.
Yeah, you got 4 Steelers down there.
Yeah, none of the receivers really in position to have any chance at all. Good job by the Browns knocking that straight down.
4 receivers, 6 defenders. But he launches one, and there was that late move, legal.
All right, there was a call on Prime. I wanted to get this part in, and we'll have some more NFL stuff. I'll have all my pigskin picks and everything else. I do want to talk about, before Jay Flanley comes on, here's what happened last night at 6. We're going to do this like backwards, okay? Here's what happened last night at 6:35 p.m. in the middle of Sports Center. And then we're going to go back and tell you what happened on Tuesday. We're going to go back in the Wayback Machine until Tuesday and tell you that we had this first before Adam Schefter did. But here's what happened last night at 6:35. This is Sheppard, not their college football, not Pete Thamel. This is Schefter.
Breaking news that is just in right now. Bryce Underwood, ESPN's #1 recruit in the class of 2025, is flipping his commitment to the Michigan Wolverines. He told school officials today, a huge day for Michigan head football coach Sharon Moore as they land the highest rated recruit in school history. He was supposed to go to LSU to be with Brian Kelly, and now he apparently is flipping his commitment and going to the Michigan Wolverines. They land their standout prized quarterback. Big news in your world, the college football world, as Michigan gets Bryce Underwood.
Made a verbal commit nearly 10 months ago to Brian Kelly and LSU, had basically shut down the recruitment, and now he's going to stay at home and go to Michigan. And by the way, the comparisons, Vince Young, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. He's that good. Shefty, good stuff.
Yeah, no question. Now, let's go back to the Wayback Machine. And here is how, it's not going to be the video, but because it's too cut. But here is the audio of myself and Jay Flanley up in Ann Arbor. This is Tuesday morning at about 8:40. win, lose, or draw, no matter how humiliating it is, he's there. He's answering questions. You may not like it. It's uncomfortable, but you may not like what he says, but at least he's there. Now, that being said, I think it's true, and I want to know, and I don't want you to hold back at all. I want you to tell me what the hell is going on here, because the only way he stays at LSU, and I mean Brian Kelly, is that Bryce Underwood, number one quarterback in the in high school, was from Michigan up that way. He is already committed to LSU. However, we all know there is a bidding war going on right now between Michigan and LSU. And my guess is in the end, he's going to decommit from LSU and go to Michigan. How close are you to this situation? And how close is that from actually happening? Come on.
Pete, I know nothing about what you're talking about. I'm kidding.
I know nothing. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Okay, I do. Okay, let me talk. Okay. I'm going to try to answer this as honestly as I can without getting myself or anybody else killed.
It's just money.
I think everything you just said is true. I think he is going to decommit from LSU. Part of everything that's going on there, he was at the Alabama LSU game, and then obviously we saw what happened to them the other night in their game. There's things going on. I know for a fact we will outbid LSU in money. And I think this is a ongoing situation. Don't believe everything you see and hear and read. But I do believe, and I'm not a big recruiting nerd. I think that he will end up here. And I think we will also add a veteran named starting quarterback from another Power 5 team or Power 4, whatever the hell it is now. It's Power 4. Power 4 team to balance an Cade McNamara, J.J. McCarthy type of thing, where we have a veteran guy in place. But I do think he will end up here. And there'll be some things going on as soon as this weekend to confirm or emphasize what you and I are talking about.
But if you're I
just did the Bill Belichick media training class, Pete. I gave a bunch of information without saying anything.
All right, that's all you really need to know. And we had it for, and I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, I kind of knew this was going to happen about a month ago. This is really not shocking news, and I guarantee you, it's not shocking to Jay, who did a great job, and really, he has to protect his sources. I have to protect my sources, and you want to make sure things get confirmed. And I probably could have gone on the air on Tuesday, late afternoon, and probably broke this story way before everybody else because I knew it was going down. I knew it was going down. And then when Jay comes on in a few minutes, because they also recruited or got one of his buddies to flip as well to come to Michigan also. So it's a huge get. And I think the power, because we talked about this before, the Power 4 quarterback that we're talking about here is the kid out of USC, Southern Cal, is it Milton Morris? They're talking about because he wants out of he doesn't want to play anymore for Lincoln Riley. So he is. I think the Power 4 quarterback that they're talking about. Him also going to Michigan. There was some other things as well, but that is, you think about the history of Michigan football, what an unbelievable get that is. And if it came down to money, it came down to money. So be it. But he is from up that way. He's from Belleville, Michigan. So I'm not exactly sure how far that is from Ann Arbor, but sounds like it's pretty close, Angel. But what a great story, great get. And let me tell you something. Jay had this before anybody.
But speaking of this one, but the one from didn't Deion also land someone semi-big?
Yes, he did. He landed the second best quarterback in the draft. That happened yesterday. Yeah. Now that throws another monkey wrench into the whole situation there about him possibly leaving.
That's what I thought because I started seeing that, and then they're thinking now like maybe he won't leave and stay with CU even after his son gets drafted.
It's going to be an interesting situation, and he's going to try to manipulate the NFL to try to have a team that he wants Shedeur Sanders, the son, the quarterback, to go to. It's really going to be a fascinating situation to see what happens in Colorado. I can tell you this: if Deion leaves, that quarterback's going to leave. There's no question. And But the Underwood story is absolutely huge for Michigan to get that player. Great flip. Not surprised, and Brian Kelly's going to be out of a job because the only way, in my opinion, he was going to be saved is if that kid stayed at LSU. He's no longer a Tiger. He is now another former Cat. He's now a Wolverine. All right, Angel, quick break. When we come back, Jay Flannelly going to join me. Woke him up early in Ann Arbor this morning. We'll get into the situation and a whole lot more as the Pete Sheppard Show continues. Jam-packed show today on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jimmy the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts, is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Last month, you might remember Tim Thomas, legendary Bruins goalie, returned on October 5th. What a turnout it was. And now a new event coming up. On Saturday, November 30th, it's Willie O'Ree, yes, the original Jackie Robinson of the National Hockey League. He'll be signing autographs to the public, $25 each. There'll be photos, pucks, and cards available. Phone orders are welcome. Just call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there. Hey, everybody. It's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home. Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill? Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
Saka. Pasternak sent it out in front for Malkin to save. They score! Elias Lindholm looks to the heavens. He stuffs that home. A power play goal. Bruins 1, Utah nothing.
Been looking for it all year, the use of the bumper. And this unit has used it a couple of times tonight, both for possession and for scoring chances. It creates triangles. It creates 2-on-1. It creates opportunities. The fake shot pass by Pasternak, the redirect by Lindholm. Initially, it hits Marchand. Double barrel.
Thanks for calling Nesson last night. There, Ryan Johnston with the call. As always, great job. He'll be joining me on Monday morning, by the way, and the new voice of the Boston Bruins on TV this year for the Boston Bruins on Nesson. So great call last night. Elias Lindholm scored the only goal of the game, and Jonas Korpisalo stopped 21 shots. The Bruins go on to win, get back on track to get Joe Sacco his first win of the season. All right, welcome back to the Pete Sheppard Show. Jay Flanley going to hop on here in just a second. Surprised he's not here already. And thanks for checking us out across the Video Sports Network video platform on Twitter X. Following me at PShep326 on Facebook, SR1029thegame.com, ION-TV, CSN Florida, Rumble, Kick, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, and call or text the show 727-858-6650.
By the way, did you tell him it was going to be 6:30 his time, 7:30 our time?
No, he's because he's already tweeted it out 23. So
okay,
hopefully.
All right, just wondering because
it is an hour difference. It is an hour difference.
So yeah,
like 23 seconds ago, he just said in the bullpen, joining my man Pete Sheppard live soon.
Okay, well, soon's then an hour from now. Come on, Beef, jump on. Because then he's probably going to confuse himself. So, no, your dad's going to come with a big bag of something. One or two. Is that right?
You're probably right, Angel. You know what? I forgot to factor in sometime. But I know what? I mean, he's on with me every Tuesday at 8:30. I never have to remind him of that. 7:30 out there, 8:30 here. So
yeah, but that's why he probably thought, because he's like, oh, okay. And an hour earlier, I got it. So he's probably thinking 7:30 instead of actually 6:30 his time this morning.
all right, if we could, while we're waiting to get him on, can we get to scroll down? It's just right under the show. Jameis Winston's post-game presser last night. Total comedy. It's right under the show.
Yep. Give me a second.
NFL films game against.
Man, you know, it really was amazing. Like, I was just praying on the sideline because that fourth quarter, it really was like it was a whole paradigm shift. Like, we were playing so well offensively, and then bang, bang, back-to-back drives with turnovers. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, this is really an NFL's film moment. The snow starts pouring down. It starts getting like I felt like my feet started getting heavy because I'm squishing through the snow. And man, it was so good, and it was so great to end up getting that win.
Jameis Winston was great. God told him to play in the snow. He goes out and has a hell of a game. And by the way, the guy we were trying to talk about earlier was Julian Lewis. He's the one that committed to Colorado, which throws another monkey wrench into the whole Deion Sanders situation. But we'll get to that maybe a little bit later on. But first, want to welcome Jay Flanley up in Ann Arbor, who I hear was outside doing backflips and cartwheels and everybody else, along with people like David Portnoy, El Prez from Barstool Sports, who's a huge Michigan guy, and my buddy Gabe Morency, who'll be on with me at 9:30 Sports Rage, an absolute huge Michigan fan as well. Jay, good morning, and congratulations. I give you full props because you had this basically. We had it 2 days before Adam Sheppard did. Great job.
Thank you, Pete. I just answer my phone. That's what happens. It's like I did with you last night. You sent the beef signal, and I looked out my window and I saw it. So,
my huge puffy face out there with the
So the funniest thing is, so just to give you how funny, we're making light of this and everything. So I'm getting ready to watch the Bruins. It's around 6:30.
Yep.
And Kathy, my business partner, who's got way better technology than me, messaged me, hey, I didn't think we'd flip Underwood this fast. And I'm like, what just happened? And I thought this was going to happen, but probably Monday.
Why wait? Why
yeah,
wait?
Exactly. Why not ruin Brian Kelly's weekend? So yeah, I sent you the video that people made of him. You saw it, the doctor video.
I didn't want to play it because it's kind of a little, but I get it. I get it. And Brian Kelly's going to, first of all, he's going to be in for a hell of a game against Vanderbilt this weekend, number one. And now we'll get to him. There's no way he survives this. There's no way he survives this. But I played earlier in the show before he came on. I went back to Tuesday's show when you were on with me. And I played a 2-minute clip of us talking about this and basically saying it's a done deal. I talked about the bidding war and everything else. I know you had to protect some of your sources and everything, and you couldn't officially come out and say it was done. Look, man, I think we knew this was done a month ago. And I think the other Power 4 quarterback you're talking about is Miller Moss from USC, because he's flipping. He's not staying at USC. And I don't know I don't know if he's the other one you're talking about that would come to Michigan as well. But for the moment, let's stick with Bryce Underwood. And was this simply about money? You think?
Well, isn't there a song called "Money Changes Everything"?
Sure. Or "Money for Nothing" and "Chicks for Free," that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a really good album by Dire Straits, by the way.
Yes.
But. No, I mean, it's hard to read. The kid, he's from here. It's a local thing. Yeah. It's a life decision. A great example. Somebody who's very heavily involved with our NIL and the Wanglers. Johnny Wangler is our quarterback in the 81 Rose Bowl champions, the 80 Michigan team. And he's lived in Michigan pretty much his whole life. And it's a lifestyle choice. Would you rather be living in Michigan the rest of your life or Louisiana? Look what they've done.
You like it cold or warm, or if you like Gators or not.
Weather is what it is. But you're looking at, they fired Ed Ogeron. They fired Les Miles. The only coach they've never fired was Nick Saban.
Yeah.
And I think
Well, those
Michigan.
guys you just mentioned all won national championships.
Oh, I know, but look what they did to Ogeron. I mean, they broomed him out in about 10 seconds.
Oh, I think he had a lot of skeletons.
All I know about Uncle Ed. Most people who can read and write know about Uncle Ed. He's all over the place. But no, I think Michigan. There are a bunch of circumstances here, and let me go over a couple of them for you. He's a local kid.
How far is Belleville from Ann Arbor? Not that
it's
it really
about half an hour, I think.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think there was a major need at the position because of our former coach leaving and going to Los Angeles. Not only that, when he was talking to the league, when we started getting really good in 21, that's when our former coach started to try to really leave. He almost went famously to Minnesota. And at the same time this was going on, his quarterback's coach got in some hot water and he got fired. So you lose, the head coach is out flirting. People reuse this. It's all over the internet. Our coaches are out trying to recruit quarterbacks. The Dante Moore kid's one of the famous examples. He's now at Oregon. He was at UCLA. So it's hard for us to recruit. Sharon can be out, Ron Bellamy, all of our other coaches. A lot of them have left and gone to the NFL with the former coach. So you don't know what's going on there with the recruits. And the other problem here is, and you know this, and I know this because we're NFL guys, every year there's not an Andrew Luck or a Trevor Lawrence or a Peyton Manning or a John Elway. You might have a Brock Osweiler as the number one QB or Rick Meyer or, somebody like that who's, is a good college player. But, if I remember correctly, Pat Mahomes went the first pick in the draft. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson went the first pick in the draft. Neither was obviously Tommy. Yeah. So they don't evaluate. It's hard to evaluate these things. But if you look at these five-star guys, the Vince Youngs, the Trevor Lawrence, the Justin Fields, even the guy at Texas, who I don't think is very good, Bowers, whatever the hell his name is. And your guy in Miami, what was Cam Ward when he was coming out? And he's a great player.
Yeah, I know. He wasn't recruited by anybody, basically.
Josh Allen. Josh Allen's another one.
Yeah.
Josh Allen had one Division I offer. I think I think the Patriots would take Josh Allen right now.
Oh, I think so too. The only with Josh Allen at the time, and I mean, he had the body and he had the arm. Yeah. The problem is he didn't play. They didn't play. You didn't see Wyoming on TV a lot, or I mean, really late at night. They didn't play anybody when he was in quote unquote his prime at Wyoming, and when he did, Oregon clobbered them. So that was, but certainly, hey,
another great. I mean, within college football itself, how about Joe Burrow? If he doesn't leave Ohio State,
yeah.
I mean, Urban Meyer didn't think he could play. That's kind of why Urban's on television. Yeah. But it is what it is. But no, Michigan had a severe need. We had needed a momentum change. We had to dip into the portal because we missed on some QBs or we didn't have a big-time high-level QB. And that's kind of why we went through the three guys we did this year. Even though I think Alex Orji has a role on a team.
Yeah.
And I think the other two kids, I mean, Jordan and Jack are good college prospects under better circumstances. I mean, we're replacing 10 guys on offense. Colson Love was the only returning starter. So it's not going to happen very often. If you look at that great LSU team that I mentioned, with Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Ed Ogeron, they were 500 the next year like we are.
Yeah.
Again, after they lost all their guys. So it's a similar situation, except they kept Coach O and a lot of those coaches. But it's a good situation for us, obviously. And like you just mentioned, I do believe we'll be in the Miller Mosses and whoever else is out there. There's always a surprise guy. There's always going to be a surprise portal guy.
So this is the Wolverines' highest-ranked quarterback that they've gotten since back in 2007. I'm sure you know this. He was number 12 at the time. Do you remember who it was?
2007, Ryan Mallett.
Yes, it was. Yeah, he's no longer with us, by the way.
Rest in peace.
Yes, rest in peace. Played for the Patriots, too. But imagine that, the Wolverines' highest-ranked QB pledge since Michigan landed Ryan Mallett, number 12, back in 2007. Wow.
I'm surprised that Devin Gardner was who's now a broadcaster. Devin Gardner was a huge recruit too. And obviously then you go to Chad Henne and Drew Henson.
Yeah.
And then Rick Leach is a good comp for, I mean, you and I are old enough to remember Rick. That Rick Leach was.
That was Reggie Leach.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So and Ricky had every record. He should. By the way, I'm bringing this up. He should be in the College Football Hall of Fame. I don't know why the hell he's not, but he's not.
Well, so, speaking of Hall of Fame, how does Robert Kraft get snubbed again? I can't believe it. Anyway,
you're barking up the wrong tree because I'm not a fan.
But whether you're a fan or not, I'm not a fan of Jerry Jones either. But I think from his marketing standpoint, I think he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame.
No question, but
certainly Robert Kraft needs to be in the Hall of Fame after everything that he has done and the stuff that he has done. Not just giving out his private jet, it seems, whenever graciously to other teams for different reasons. The guy should be in the Hall of Fame. It's embarrassing that he's not, but. Anyway, we digress.
Well, he will. He'll make it in. They're punishing him for some of the crimes against the sport and other things they don't like, including something I recently appeared in that he ruined because he turned it into a pissing contest against Belichick. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the dynasty, Pete.
No, I got you. The one thing, this kid though, Underwood, just burst on the scene. 2021 freshman year, so he's like 14 years old. Yep. 2,888 yards passing, 39 touchdowns in his freshman season at Belleville. It led the Tigers to back-to-back state titles in his first 2 years under center. Then earned Michigan Gatorade Player of the Year honors as a junior in last year, 2023. Completed almost 65% of his passes for 3,329 yards, 44 touchdowns while guiding Belleville to a third consecutive state title game appearance. It sounds like they lost, which I find it hard to believe, but that is unbelievable. So this kid is the real deal, it seems. And you heard the comparisons of Vince Young, Patrick Mahomes, and sometimes we get carried away with that stuff initially. 6'4".
Vince Young to me, by the way, is the best college quarterback I've ever seen. Vince Young was the best I've seen.
You can make a strong case for that. I agree. 6'4", 210 pounds. So it probably needs to beef up just a little bit.
Well, I'm 5'7", about 190, so I can help. We could work out. I just turned 53, so there you go.
I'm 6'2", by 239, 240 right now, and he's
the most you ever weighed. We got to talk about this. You just brought it up.
Oh, it was bad. The most I ever weighed because as soon as I got into broadcasting is when I really puffed up because I was a rail.
3 bills?
Over 3 bills. It was like 330.
Oh, wow, because you were hanging out with Smurless.
No, it was just bad eating habits on my part, and lack of exercise. So yeah, it was just laziness on my part, and I could go. But anyway, I found myself.
Has Florida helped you with that, Pete? Has Florida helped you with that?
Oh yeah, even before that. I mean, when I got diagnosed in 2004 with type 2 diabetes, that was
I was heading towards that myself.
The big wake up call for me. So I just changed a lot of stuff, and stopped drinking Captain Morgan and Coke, switched to vodka with less calories.
Okay, Pete, I got to show you this though. I did
lose a lot of weight, but coming down here, I've lost another 35 pounds since we've come down here about 8 years ago. So
good. I got to show you this, Pete.
Okay, put it up closer to the camera. Okay, yep.
The fam. You can figure out what the fam is. Not the Godfather either. There's another fam, but there you go. Okay. No, I think obviously this is a big day for us, our administration. Yeah. Coach Moore, who I'm a huge fan of, I think he's a great guy. He inherited a really big shit show. And by the way, we still have the NCAA notice of infractions coming next week, so we're waiting on that for the former coach who's in Los Angeles conveniently. We'll see how that comes out. I don't think there's going to be much to it, but we'll see. You never know what the NCAA is going to do, and how they don't know what they're going to do half the time. But we'll see. Yeah, go ahead, Pete. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and then 2 days ago, which I didn't really get a chance to get into because it happened, but Julian Lewis committing on McAfee's show to Colorado, 5-star quarterback there. And I think this is going to be fascinating to see now. I still think it's 60-40 that Deion leaves. I do. And then
I think he's going to go for another NCAA job. I don't think he's going to go to the NFL.
Really? You don't?
Yeah, I think he could. I mean, I don't. Well, I think you either stay at Colorado or go to another big job.
If he leaves Colorado, Lewis is not staying there. I mean, he
you're
went
right.
there because of Deion Sanders. And Deion Sanders now, and maybe take him at his word. I don't know. I don't trust coaches who say they're going to stay because they all lie. It's all about the moment. I don't mind.
Nick Saban.
Oh, please.
Miami Dolphins back in the day. Bobby Petrino.
Manny Diaz was coaching Temple until he wasn't the last second. Came instead.
Roy Williams in college.
The list is endless. I played golf with Rick Pitino in 1987 after the Final Four before I got in the business, about a year before. We belonged to the same place. And my parents did, I should say.
Here you go.
We sat for 4 hours after the whole thing and talked about the Final Four and basketball and the history of Providence College and everything else. And he sat there and played golf and played really well. I think he shot an 83 that day. I shot like a 93. But we had a nice time. It's kind of random, spur of the moment type thing. He just happened to be on the tee. And I went up and he said, "Hi, I'm Rick." I said, I was 19. I go, "Yeah, I know who you are." And proceeded to tell me for 4 hours how he would not take the job for the Knicks. I'm not going. I love Providence, blah, blah, blah. And then, it's like 48 hours later. Hello, New York. So
Rick is one of the worst ones of these guys lying. So, Pete, let's go over some things. The biggest part of this Underwood thing is you have to start to understand and read and look at the transfer portal and its in NIL and its impact on the sport.
Who else is coming over? Who else is coming over to Michigan? Any of his chums or buddies that this will help Michigan get other recruits to come down?
I mean, the reports are out there about all the wide receivers and that offensive lineman that's supposed to be going to Alabama that's supposed to be flipping. That's not really my area, but it's all out there. I'll retweet and post what I see and come across. But I think the bigger story is the NIL and the portal, because if you look at our team, Michigan, and your team, obviously, with Cam Ward, the transfer portal changes every team, particularly the quarterback position. The 5 teams that beat Michigan this year all have portal QBs.
Yeah.
Michigan really didn't. I mean, Jack Tuttle was a grad transfer, and everybody else we have is our guy. And before that, we had J.J. McCarthy and Cade McNamara, who are both great college players. Obviously, J.J. Is having great success, and he's in the Vikings. He's hurt, but he's going to be a great player. And my buddy Cade, he's in Iowa. He's injured right now, but he's dealing with it and getting through it. But he had a great career. But you look at the 5 teams, and then say the top 18 to 20 teams, about the only schools that don't have a portal guy are Georgia with Carson Beck, who I think sucks, and Milroe, who is a hybrid, Cam Newton type of guy. But everybody else has a portal guy. Oregon, the Buckeyes. Well, I'm sorry, Penn State doesn't, but their problem is they have Phil Go Franklin. So who do you got, is Tennessee's QB a transfer guy? I think he is. Vanderbilt's going to transfer guys like 27 years old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's got almost every good team now has a transfer portal QB.
Did you guys get any snow up there last night, like we saw in Cleveland, that blizzard? Did you get anything up there?
Nothing like that, but early in the morning yesterday, you woke up to a little dusting, and then it was blowing around a little. Kathy lives up in Saginaw. A couple of my other friends, they didn't get it. Down here we did. Excuse me, go ahead.
Saginaw's right on the lake, right?
Yeah, she's up. Yeah, it's up towards, up past East Lansing and all that. But a lot of our, that's a hotbed for basketball and football players.
Yeah.
The Thompson brothers all went from there. They were here with me. Sean Thompson caught Tom Brady's last pass in college, the touchdown to win the Oregon Orange Bowl against Mike.
Yeah.
And the bootleg pass. Of all things, Tom Brady bootleg pass, waggle.
Yep.
On his last college pass, Sean caught that in overtime to win the game.
I remember.
And his brother Brian was a captain
against
here.
Georgia, right? Was it against Georgia?
No, it was against Alabama.
Alabama. Yeah,
and their They had Andrew Zhao and they had 2 quarterbacks in the game, and they had Sean Alexander, Chris Samuels. I mean, this is a loaded team. That team we beat. Now, David Terrell just caught another touchdown. I think he had 4 touchdowns in the game. So and hey, thank God the Patriots dropped Richard Seymour instead of DT, and I love DT, but that was
that was a huge debate back in the day, and and then there were people like Ron Borges who were just so over the top on Terrell, and Belichick sucks. And Richard Seymour ended up being an all-pro player, and
Hall of Famer.
was absolutely the right choice. And David Terrell and being a bust. Anyway, all right, Jay. Before we go, I just want to say one thing. Great job as always. I know you're going to be on later today with Angel Martinez on his show, I believe, right at 11 o'clock. The last thing I want to say is about the college football playoff rankings, and I'm done yelling and screaming and bitching and moaning. I think even Feinbaum has calmed down a little bit after you. The problem with the football people in this college football playoff, and they better get used to it because it's going to go to 16 sooner rather than later. It's not a perfect system, just like March Madness is not a perfect system. You're not getting the 68 best teams. It's an imperfect system. It is what it is. No matter how many teams are in, you could have 140 teams in this college football playoff. There's going to be debate. It's always going to be debate. So let's just see how it plays out the next couple of weeks. Everybody take a deep breath, step back, and calm down. If you're an SEC school that's to go play at a Big Ten school in the first round, so be it. That's the way it is. It's not a perfect system, but I think it's much better than what we had. So I think everybody just needs to take a big breath, take a step back, calm down, and let's see how this plays out.
No, I agree with you, and you just made a great point. You look at March Madness, they have 64 teams and people complain about 65, 66.
Yeah.
Now, they have the automatic bids and so forth. I think, you're 100% right about 12 being a bad number. You either do 8 or 16. You have to have an even number.
I don't mind 12 being the number. I'm just saying it's going to go up. It's going to continue to go up.
It's going to get to 16. It's going to get to 16. But it's interesting, though, the one thing you must look at is you have a lot of these warm weather schools. They're going to have to travel because this is the problem with the SEC. There's too many good teams. Now, we talked about Vanderbilt now being good, and Kentucky's been good for a while now. They all eat each other. They all have 2 losses. So what's going to happen? You're going to have somebody like Penn State who they're playing one game, and Indiana's another one. They haven't played anybody yet.
Yep.
Where they are going to have more wins because they're playing shame on you instead of South Carolina.
But the strength of record and strength of schedule. So before I let you go, because I got somebody else, but Ward Manuel, another Michigan guy, the committee chairman. I mean, they all speak.
A good friend, our athletic director, and Phil Sleater.
I know, and people have to understand. There's 6 new committee members there out of 13, and some of the stuff I just wish we'd get a better explanation than what we get. It's almost like
you and I are available. You and I are available.
Somebody's got to sneak in and bug that place. I mean, we got to have a Watergate type situation, Somebody get in there and bug the place. What the hell is done? What's going on in there?
No, but I'm glad we, Pete, you and Angel, it's been great, and I'm glad I was able to give you a little bit of a story. More important, I'm wearing the Sack the Sigma stuff. This is our mental health thing that Aiden Hutchinson and J.J. McCarthy got behind. I've been battling depression for almost 5 years now. It's a good thing. And, people talking about Angels had his own problems. And, you're dealing with it because Belichick and the Patriots are kidding. I'm half joking. It's a good thing to talk about it. And you guys been great to me, give me a tremendous avenue. And I'm excited for what we're doing and what we're doing in the future.
Well, you're doing a great job. Phenomenal. You're doing a phenomenal job. You really should deserve the credit for breaking this story because you did have it.
I answered my phone, Pete.
You answered the phone, baby. All right, Jay, you'll be on with Angel later on this morning at 11 o'clock. Thanks so much. The best, always. Great stuff as always, Jay. Appreciate you.
Pete, if you don't think I love you, I got up at 7:30. Come on, it's 7:30. This used to be when I used to get home.
6:30 your time.
Oh, my God. Okay, buddy. I love you. Talk to you later.
Go back to bed.
No,
all right.
I got other things to do.
Okay. Jay Flannelly from Beeves World up in Ann Arbor joining me. All right, quick break. When we come back, Aaron Parsegian, WTSP 10 Tampa Bay, going to join me. We're going to try and sort out the mess, the enigma, the puzzle, the conundrum all synonymous with Tampa Bay Rays and Tropicana Field. That's next here on the Pete Sheppard Show on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts, is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Last month, you might remember Tim Thomas, legendary Bruins goalie, returned on October 5th. What a turnout it was. And now a new event coming up. On Saturday, November 30th, it's Willie O'Ree. Yes, the original Jackie Robinson of the National Hockey League. He'll be signing autographs to the public, $25 each. There'll be photos, pucks, and cards available. Phone orders are welcome. Just call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there. Hey, everybody. It's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
The Pete Sheppard Show. It's fun for the whole family, if it's dysfunctional.
Possibly after we made a different vote, we could talk about what moving forward with a later conversation on that may look like. But I'm just not quite ready to put $22 million towards something with an entity that we may never have a deal with.
Yep, that is Brandy Gabbard, one of the councilmen, St. Pete City Council people. I've listened to these press conferences since 4:30 this morning. Now my good friend, former New Englander Aaron Parsegian, joining us from WTSP 10 Tampa Bay. I still can't figure it out. He's doing these great reports last night. I've gone through it. You get something in your ear, you're just about to finish up, and you say, what the hell is going on? What is going on? We say good morning to Aaron Parsegian. Thanks for getting up this morning, and thanks for checking it out. I felt for you last night, man. You were going through all this stuff. I still don't know who to believe, what is going on. Just move the whole damn team to Montreal, and let's get this over with. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Pete. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, former Boston guy, so I used to listen to you all the time. So it's an honor to share the web page with you. But yeah, I think you're summing up what not only just the general public, Rays fans, but even what city and county leaders are feeling, as well as the reporters who've been covering this thing. Because as you mentioned, we're doing the report last night at 6. They delayed the bond vote, which obviously put this in a cloudy situation to begin with. But then just minutes later saying, actually, never mind. We don't know if we want to fund the repairs on the Tropicana field now, because after what the Rays president just told us, who knows if there's even a relationship here to work with in the moving forward. So still a lot of questions that we're waking up with today, but the situation's looking more and more bleak for baseball in St. Pete.
I heard Councilman Richie Floyd. I heard Councilwoman Brandy Gabbard. I also heard Rays President Brian Auld, who didn't do himself any favors in this whole thing as well, in the Tampa organization. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of this thing, at Tropicana Field, what else goes on over there besides the race? Anything? I never hear anybody saying, let's go to the Trop for this concert. Or, is there rodeos? What goes on over there? Do they have any revenue generated from that god-awful stadium, which I hate?
Well, once in a while they do have things. So in the winter they do this like Christmas Enchant thing, which was actually just canceled. And it might have been canceled regardless of if the storm came. So that's something we were looking into as well. They had a wrestling event. I think WWE's Royal Rumble was there last year. So there is that opportunity. And one of the things we heard from the St. Pete Area Chamber of Commerce president, who was basically pushing for them to get these repairs funded as quickly as possible, is the fact that they could do other events there outside of Rays baseball games.
Well, and I know you've done a great job at being fair and impartial. You can't, appear to take sides and everything else. But I thought the last part of what Councilwoman Brandy Gabbard said, I kind of get it when she's like, I don't want to invest $22 million for basically the Rays, who may not even be there. So why am I going to spend $22 million on that, I would have said, their godforsaken stadium, which was never built for baseball to begin with. But other than that, me ad-libbing and adding in my own 2 cents. Just how'd you feel about let's start with the council people. How'd you think about what Richie Floyd said, Brandy Gabbard said, and others last night?
Well, it makes sense because a lot of what they were dealing with was dealing with an unknown partner. I mean, the only thing they knew from the Rays over the past few weeks is what basically they told the county in that letter and what Stu Sternberg wrote in that column for the Tampa Bay Times a few days before that. So they're looking at this picture with a bleak outlook because the Rays essentially saying the deal is dead before they even walked into this meeting where they're supposed to decide whether they want to give them $300 million and finance $300 million to make this project happen with a partner who may not want it themselves. So they're coming in with that lens. And then, interestingly enough, I think one of the more extraordinary parts of that meeting before everything kind of crumbled towards the end and they started reversing decisions was that Brian Auld, the Rays co-president, actually went up to the, lectern and took questions from some of the city council members, which I thought was interesting, something they didn't choose to do at the county level, where they wrote that letter. They said they weren't going to be answering any questions. So I think that kind of was even more eye-opening for them.
The irony is that the Rays are going to play down the street from Ray J at George Steinbrenner Field, which I believe is a better facility for baseball than the Trop is, which holds a lot less, but 11,000, they'll probably draw a lot better, obviously. But so, if the storm did not hit, where do you think we'd be right now in this? What kind of situation would we be in? Would it have changed at all?
I think there would have been shovels in the ground in December to build this new stadium. I mean, if you look at before the hurricanes, and the first one was Helene, and then Milton was the one that damaged the Trop. But it was Helene that really caused the significant amount of damage across Pinellas County, the beaches, throwing feet of sand across clear water, going everywhere. Um, if that doesn't happen, you'd think the county commission meets in October on 29th. They have the same exact makeup on the county commission that they did when they first approved moving forward with the deal back in July. They have nothing else to think about. They don't have to worry about, people's damaged homes, cleaning them up, what the beaches look like, seeing even more damage. And then they would just, almost in a formality vote to approve the bonds for their portion of the financing. Because, back in July when this was announced as a done deal, that was expected to be the easiest hurdle to come across with the county, because they have such a strict way they can spend this money that comes from hotel and bed tax, and one of those is through sports stadiums. So this was expected to be one of the easier hurdles, even compared to the city, where there was supposed to be this bigger discussion and fight over whether to finance the money, which doesn't have that pool of funding.
My executive producer and co-host and also host his own show, Angel Martinez, he's in the Tampa St. Pete area also. So we've talked about this from time to time, but it's really started to heat up. And, it's it's the model at Ybor City that I've seen over the years looks beautiful when it's presented. What's the holdup? What is the holdup?
It's the money. I mean, when you look at how much Pinellas County and the city of St. Pete were willing to commit to the project, that's more than any money we've seen from other areas, at least to this point, willing to give towards a stadium. And then obviously the surrounding redevelopment, which was a $6.5 billion project. So they're not just talking the stadium, they're talking about basically a district of downtown that they would essentially have the rights to and be willing to or be able to make money off of. There's obviously been talk way before I even came to this area about other locations, Tampa, Hillsborough County, wherever that may be.
Montreal, which is true.
Yeah. And I think even Rays owner Stu Sternberg called that a cockamamie idea when they first got this stuff approved. But
I don't think it's a cockamamie idea anymore. I didn't think it was to begin with, but it's got to be. And it seems like it could be essentially a win-win situation for everybody if they could just. I mean, you're not going to agree on everything when it comes to this stuff. I get it. But don't you think it would be great for the area if they got this thing, outside where they are now as a cluster bleep? We know that. They just need to move to a better location. I think that it's available. I think all parties could win-win here without letting egos get involved, which I know in politics, forget about that. But I think, there's got to be some give and take here, right?
Yeah, and I think what's in the best interest of in MLB, and I think Commissioner Rob Manfred said this a couple days ago when he was asked about it, they don't want to leave the Tampa Bay area. They don't care if it's in St. Pete or Tampa. They want to stay in this media market. I think it's in the best interest of the team, whoever the owner may be, and there's questions about that moving forward. They want to stay in this area. Now, does Hillsborough County have the money? That's something that's yet to be seen, and if they can come up with a way to make it, economically reasonable for the team, which they no longer find this deal to be because of these cost overruns. That's another story that I'm sure they're going to be looking at right now. I'm actually planning on interviewing one of the Hillsborough County commissioners who deals with the sports office over there later today to figure that out. But I know they've already had some conversations with the Rays now that this appears to be falling apart in St. Pete.
I think one of the things I find amusing, and I have like a sixth sense of humor, so, if you've known me back in the day, but it's the little things that bother me. And this happens in sports, and we get pedantic blathering and ridiculous colloquialisms and stuff like that. When I heard Richie Floyd talk about how he coached or played baseball for 7 years or whatever it was, then coached softball and was trying to incorporate that into what is going on here, I'm like, oh my Lord, please. Don't say, it's like saying, I played hockey for 15 years, which I did. So what? That doesn't mean I have an insight to be a GM. That's the kind of stuff that I think eats away at people like me when I hear politicians say, well, back in my day, I played baseball for the Little League idiots and Babe Ruth baseball, maybe some high school for 7 years. And you try to incorporate that in how we coach softball. What the hell? That has nothing to do with what's going on. Nothing. It doesn't give you a bigger understanding of how Major League Baseball operates. So this is what happens sometimes when politicians get involved in sports. And I don't think they, of course, have to be concerned about the finances of it, and I get it. But it's like, this. It's like at Super Bowls, and I've been to many of them. When you have news people coming down and ask stupid questions, I'm not saying it's stupid or was a dumb statement to make, but you know what I'm saying? You're like, man, stay in your lane. You're out of your league when you start talking about stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember one. I think it was I forget when it was, a couple of years ago, but some reporter asked about the conditions playing outside when they were playing in a dome stadium.
Yeah.
I just remember that one vividly.
Yeah. And that's, again, it's just, it cracks me up. So what is your day going to be like today? What's next in this whole situation? Is anything going to be resolved before Thanksgiving?
I highly doubt that. So right now, the bonds are still on the table for the county and the city level. They can still make a decision on that, regardless of what the Rays saying the deal is dead, which would be, another story if they're willing to take any action on that. What I think is going to happen is they mentioned it at the city council meeting last night, where the city administrator was basically like, we're going to offer the opportunity for the Rays to give us a termination letter. Right now, they haven't done anything except use their words to express they don't want to do this anymore. Until they get that in paper, and then that's something they'd probably consider before these bonds come up again. So I don't think that's going to happen within the next week. We know the county's going to meet again December 17th to talk about it at their level, which may be a mess now after the city council stuff. And then I'm going to be, looking in Hillsborough County and talking to leaders in Tampa and seeing, are they already making a push for this? Because clearly this thing's on life support. Now, if you ask Mayor Ken Welch here in St. Pete, he thinks they're going to, maybe revamp this plan a little bit, but he said they're not going to be spending any more public money. So I don't know what that plan will look like, or if that would be acceptable to the Rays, who clearly say it's not economically making sense for them anymore. So there's a lot of questions still, probably even more so after last night.
When we listened to Rays President Brian Auld yesterday, and I have not seen what part of this statement or letter that he wrote put the council in a tizzy there, and because he backtracked like, I didn't really mean it. I didn't really mean to say this, that, or the other thing. What exactly happened there?
Well, I think it was more so the timing of it. So the county was saying how they haven't really had communication with the Rays since the entire mess at Tropicana Fields, waiting to see how they wanted to move forward. They didn't hear anything. And then a couple hours later, before this meeting where they make this big decision, they get this letter that essentially saying, we lost you as partners. There's not a path forward. We stopped work on the project. I think a lot of people were more miffed by the owner, Stu Sternberg's comments in that Tampa Bay Times article a few days before, where he said the same thing. The county lost as a partner, questioned the future of baseball in the Tampa Bay area. So a lot of things like that were upsetting to them.
Rick on the text line says, don't the Rays own the land that the Trop is on, even if they move? Is that?
That's still a question that they're going to be looking into moving forward. Now, I think that's one of the reasons the city, if the Rays say it's dead and they don't want part of this deal anymore officially, that's why they're looking for that termination letter. But they talked about this last night, where the Rays and the Hines Development Group are like, well, if you want us on board for this development, we can still help in that regard, with or without a stadium, which I don't think would be in the city's best interests. So that's one of these questions that's going to have to be looked at moving forward.
Wow. But hang on a second. So the Rays own the land that the Trop is on, correct?
No, not right now.
Not right now. They don't.
That would be, so part of the new deal is they would have these land sales where they basically incrementally sell parts of the land over and over, financing it.
Wow.
For obviously a discount on what the true value of that land would be. So that's one of the reasons they'd want that termination letter before they do anything as far as, starting to finance parts of the project.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Angel.
Aaron, I don't know if you've been able to travel a bunch over to Hillsborough, because I know you've been here as of recent in the area, but the places that he talked about, which to me, it just, in my own opinion, I think for a lot of Tampa fans as well, would be in the best interest for them to move over to Tampa, just because we know exactly where the stadium is, the Trop, and makes it really tough because of the location, folks coming in from Bradenton. I mean, it's a mess going over to Howard Franklin, but overall, it would just make sense to be in Ybor City. I know Mayor Jane Castro, of course, I goofed around a lot with Pete yesterday and said, I got her on speed dial. I'll give her a call and let her know what's going on here. But, it just logistically, it makes a lot more sense for the Rays. You have a lot of fan base too in Orlando that absolutely love the Rays, but they refuse to come down this way because it makes it much, much lengthier as far as a trip. It'd be interesting once you have your conversation with the folks over in Hillsborough, but I would think Tampa would be able to find a little extra money and actually want to keep the Rays here. It's just St. Pete. This has been going on back and forth, especially the last 2 years. And even with the previous mayor of St. Pete, it was always a toss-up because they want the Gaslight District to be revamped. And I get it. We all understand it. But they want it revamped their way. And that's great for the people of St. Pete. But for the Rays, it just becomes infuriating for the fan base because there's a lot of them obviously don't show up at the Trop because it is what it is. The Trop is just a mess. And so everybody's just now literally on pins and needles just trying to figure this out. But I think overall, Tampa would make the most amount of sense over in Hillsborough County unless St. Pete decides at the last minute to keep it in St. Pete.
Yeah, I think that's a point a lot of people on the other side of the bridge have brought up that, as far as any stadium in the Tampa area would automatically expose it to more fans within that 10-mile radius, which we hear a lot about, which right now there's not a lot of people centrically around Tropicana Field where it exists. Now, when the Rays were going through this deal and, agreeing to it and saying they wanted to stay in St. Pete, we're here to stay was the big tagline. They thought that the area growing would support that. They thought, having a new stadium, having this redevelopment would bring more fans over and encourage them to come over from that side of the bridge. Now, I think Tampa's going to be looking hard at this more, and Hillsborough County more over these next few days because they were kind of on the back burner. And we've heard Mayor Castro say it before, but, their whole main goal was making sure the Rays stayed in Tampa Bay. Once the St. Pete deal started moving forward and it looked like it was a done deal back in July, they were saying, well, that's their thing. We're going to let to see how that plays out. Now it appears that's on life support. So they're going to be taking a hard look at this again. I think that's one of the things we're hearing from people on both sides is they want it to stay in Tampa Bay. They don't want them going wherever, Nashville, Charlotte, who knows what's in the cards for later.
I have a solution. I'm going to start a GoFundMe page at Steinbrenner Stadium. We knock it down and rebuild it, make it about 30,000, very comfy seated stadium with all the amenities. And the Rays can play there. And in all seriousness, do you think that they wouldn't do that, obviously, but from an aesthetics and traffic and all that stuff, would that work? You think? Would my idea work?
Well, that area would be good, right? Because they have the Raymond James right there.
Yep.
I don't think that you'd have to talk the Steinbrenner family into doing that, but I don't think so. I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
Well, it could still be Steinbrenner Stadium. It's Steinbrenner Stadium, home of the Tampa Bay Rays. I know it's got a type of moronic, but that's all right. Man, great stuff. So what's your day like today? You're going to be traveling all around trying to find out more stuff. Let me ask you one thing, too. I don't know how much man on the street stuff you do or what. I'm interested in what do the residents of St. Pete and Tampa, the area, do they care? Do they care about this? Are they upset about it? What's the overall vibe of the people?
It kind of shifts with the tide. So I think a lot of people are upset that they're seeing this deal fall apart, and they care about the Rays and their team that they've had here, since the late 90s. What I think is interesting, though, is we're also seeing a lot of people that are dealing with post-hurricanes. There's, piles of debris outside people's homes, totally destroyed. And they thought it was even ridiculous to begin with. They were talking about spending a ton of money on a sports stadium at this point. And so county commissioners that got in their ear, obviously they're seeing these. A lot of them themselves were impacted by storm damage. And they're like, well, it doesn't make sense to act so quickly on spending this kind of money, which is, kind of what unraveled this whole thing. So you get both sides of it. I think the majority right now are just hoping that the Rays don't leave the general area. And obviously, I kind of just take in what I see online and what people are replying to my tweets and that kind of thing.
Aaron, great stuff. Really, let's do this again sooner rather than later. It's great to have you on. I did not know you were from New England originally. Ara Parsegian for WTSP. You're not related to the late, great Hall of Fame Notre Dame coach, are you?
No, not unless it's extremely distantly, because I don't know how many Parsegians there are, but that's the number one question I get.
I know it is. And, I almost going to put Ara up next to you, but that's okay. But you do a great job at WTSP and 10 Tampa Bay. Great stuff. I'll be retweeting your stuff and listening because I think you've broken it down very succinctly here. And it's a mess. I thought Boston politics were bad. Do you remember back in the day when they're trying to build the Gillette Stadium now? Remember in Southie and get the new Fenway over there? Remember what a mess that was like done deal, and then it wasn't because the people in Southie wanted it, but the councilman didn't.
Yeah.
This is kind of similar to that, and a little bit.
Yeah, and they're going to probably do that again with TD Garden and see what happens with that.
Good luck. Anyway, Aaron, thanks so much. We'll have you on again soon. If I don't get to talk to you before, have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll definitely talk after the holiday break. We'd love to have you back on. You've been great.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks a lot. Aaron Parsegian from WTSP and 10 Tampa Bay. Great stuff. Okay, now I have a little bit better understanding about what is going on. I'm still a tad confused, but basically, like everything, especially when you're trying to spend millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars in stadium situations, this is where Rick Horrow would really come into play here. There's got to be some give and take. I understand both sides. People don't want to spend taxpayer money on a stadium right now with all these hurricane debts and deficits, and I completely understand that as well. And I also understand the part about when you're spending money, $22 million on a roof for a team that may not even be there coming up over the next several years. So I also understand the people that want it and want to move it to either Ybor City or you said the Gaslight District, whatever it is. There's ways for both sides to win, and it always comes about economics.
It does. No, but
all the bullshit they say about social impact and everything else, I don't want to hear it. It's all about building up businesses in the area. And stadiums can do that. You can generate revenue if you have a good product or you have a consistent product. I remember downtown Cleveland when they built the Jake back in the day. That was a huge boost to that economy because you had the stadium, you had the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame down the street, and I don't know the state of the downtown Cleveland area now, but I know when that stadium got built, it changed everything over there, at least for a few. And plus, the team was winning. So I hope they can come to an accord here in the Tampa St. Pete area. Otherwise, I think they will seriously think of moving on. And I'm not kidding about Montreal. That's always been out there. We'll see.
Yeah, but I truly believe that the ownership wants to stay here. I think Tampa now would probably be making a better run for them in Ybor. The only thing, and I understand St. Pete, don't get me wrong. I know they've been building a lot. They've been building the area, and it's a beautiful city. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of walking places you can go to, which makes it fantastic, honestly, where you can there's blocks upon blocks. You couldn't hit every restaurant and shop that's there within a year to be able to go to all different places down there. But at the same time, too, just take into consideration, if you choose not to spend the $23 million, that bond just to repair the roof, then work out another deal with Steinbrenner Field and just say, hey, listen, can we just be there for the next 2 or 3 seasons until we finally get this new stadium built? Then that's 23 or 55 extra $1 million that you don't have to spend, that you can go ahead and apply and finally make the new venue over in St. Pete.
Okay, I'll put you on the city council. Make that proposal. All right, Angel, quick break here. And then when we come back, it'll be time for my Pigskin Picks at 9:05. John Mita-Perella is going to join me. We'll talk BC, North Carolina football, and also the ACC, and get his thoughts on the college football playoff ranking/seedings. And Gabe Arenzi at 9:30 to close out the show. Sports Rage with his awesome picks as well. Got it jam-packed today. This has been great so far. It will continue on the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak are Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts, is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Last month, you might remember Tim Thomas, legendary Bruins goalie, returned on October 5th. What a turnout it was. And now a new event coming up. On Saturday, November 30th, it's Willie O'Ree, yes, the original Jackie Robinson of the National Hockey League. He'll be signing autographs to the public, $25 each. There'll be photos, pucks, and cards available. Phone orders are welcome. Just call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there. Hey, everybody. It's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You want the best in sports and entertainment? You got it. Now back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
You have said you don't become a Brown until you beat the Steelers. What will it take tonight?
The horse is prepared for battle, but victory comes from the Lord. So I'm dependent on the Lord.
Is that the message to the team?
Day by day, one play at a time. That's the message.
Weather conditions tonight. We're expecting winds up to 15 miles per hour and a wintry mix. How will that impact your ability to throw the ball?
I am so happy and grateful that the Lord has blessed me to play, to be in true football weather in Cleveland, Ohio, at Huntington Bank Field today to give him the glory. It's a beautiful day.
Sure feels like you're playing in the AFC North.
It is. It's magical. Thank you.
Lord, nowhere to be found after the game in the Pittsburgh locker room, I'll tell you that. He is a classic, though. I'm so glad that I'm happy for him. Happy he won the game. I like Jameis Winston. Kind of always have. He's goofy. He licks fingers. He says some crazy stuff, but he's entertaining. Great for the game last night, and the Steelers ended up. The Browns ended up beating the Steelers last night on Thursday Night Football. Go ahead.
I don't think we've mentioned this either. Would he be a good fit to kind of revamp Carolina?
Yeah. I think he'd be maybe even New Orleans. Maybe even New Orleans over. I don't know. Derek Carr's. I mean, I don't know. I think he's going to. Like I said, the Browns are 1-5 and I mean the Steelers are 1-5-1 against Cleveland in Cleveland the last 7 years. I also told you yesterday that there have been the last 6 firings for Cleveland coaches have been after Steelers losses. Obviously, they've come in Pittsburgh,
right?
Most of them. So, but that was a hell of a game. That was a hell of a game last night in a blizzard. But look, they got to get rid of Deshaun Watson. I think if you make Jameis Winston the permanent starter in Cleveland, I think he might be able to do some things better than Deshaun Watson is. To tell you that.
Oh no, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, so let's just say hypothetically, obviously he stays. If they get rid of Deshaun Watson, then yeah, I would make a push to keep Jameis Winston there. But don't forget, he was already in New Orleans as a backup, and then obviously Cleveland had picked him up. But I think when it comes to the Panthers, I think if you're not willing to get someone for because I mean they need everywhere needs on that both sides of the ball, especially ownership. They need a new owner. Period. But I think if you're trying to rebuild, you take someone like Jameis Winston because I don't think Bryce Young is going to be there next year. They may shop him around at the end of the season, but I think
I think a lot depends on Shedeur Sanders and if Carolina has that pick, does Deion want him to go there? That kind of thing. The stuff about Deion manipulating the system here is going to be really, really interesting to see how the NFL handles this. Because he may very well. I mean, the Carolina Panthers may want Shedeur Sanders. Maybe they want Hunter, which Deion says, of course, Hunter's going to have to choose a side. He can't play both. Unless it's an emergency session. I remember Troy Brown did it at the end of his career, played both ways, and was very good at it. In fact, in 2003, the year the Patriots got rid of Drew Bledsoe and lost the opening game 31-0 in Buffalo, 180, game 16. Patriots at home against Buffalo, win 31-0. And one of the last plays of the game was Troy Brown intercepting Drew Bledsoe. It was freaking classic. It really was. Of course, they went on to win the Super Bowl that year, too, against Carolina and Houston. But, well, I mean, great stuff. Hey, how about Aaron Parsegian? Great stuff from him.
Yeah.
Really broke it all down as well. Great stuff earlier from Jay Flannelly. Bryce Underwood, the flip from LSU to Michigan. I am also hearing, I've seen 2 reports now where he is getting about $12 million from Michigan. So,
wow.
I got to sneeze.
She's $12 million. Goodness gracious.
12 million. $12 million. Well, I Cam Ward got that. Might even got 15. I mean, that's what it is. That is what it's going to take, and rightly so. In this day and age, these universities and colleges generate billions, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. So you got to pay. It's no different than anything else. And you want these kids, you got to pay. It's that simple.
If that's the case, with the smaller schools then pretty much just be out in the oblivion, because I mean they won't be able to afford stuff like that.
No, but it depends. I mean, these are extreme circumstances. The 12. We're talking about the creme de la creme. But if like you're in the MAC conference, you like Miami of Ohio and stuff like that, every school has boosters and people with money in their pockets. So I mean, if you think about it, SMU could be able to buy anybody. There is more money at that school than any school in the country. That's a fact. They have more money than God at SMU. Now, I mean, they've done well this year, and I understand that. Lashley's a great coach. And who knows, in this day and age, with the portal and with nil money, what's near future. But SMU could afford to buy anybody for millions of dollars. Anybody. They could, trust me, there's more money there. They're the richest school on the planet. Some may disagree. Just go look at the people. That place is full of oil and tons of Texas money. Black gold, Texas tea, as they say from the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, no, but you're right though. I mean, universities for years, everybody knows this. I mean, unless you're just new into the scene, but everybody knows for years they've made tons of money off these kids. I mean, at every level.
Ridiculous. Yeah, at every single level. It was unfair how the kids can't get paid for athletics yet. You can. If you can go on some academic thing or go on American Idol in college or whatever, you can earn all this money, but the athletes always got screwed. And spare me, they get a free education. Crap, please. That's nothing. That's tip money for these people. Oh, they're getting the $250,000 a year. So what? That means nothing. That means nothing. They generate that in a spring game. Not even. I mean, what more than that in a spring game? Think about that. You get sold out spring games to watch scrimmages in these Power 5 conferences. Crazy. All right. It is that time, Angel, for my pig skin picks. Everybody's been waiting for these all week long. I guarantee it. So, recapping last week in the NFL, I went 7-6. Again, I pick every game against the spread, not just winners. I pick every game against the spread to the best of my ability. Another over 500 week, 7-6 last week. I'm 61-55-4 in 120 games picked this year. Like I said, 2 weeks this year I did not pick games. One was on vacation, and one was because of stupid Hurricane Milton, where I had to evacuate. So out of 120 games, 61-55-4. That is a .525 winning percentage. College football kind of got off the schneid last week, got back on track. Went 3-2 last week. That brings me up to still a not very good 18-28, 46 games. That is only a .391 winning percentage, but I'm getting back up there. Can't tell you how many games in those 28 losses. I'd say 20 of them came from 2 points or less, but we digress, Nobody wants to hear my sob stories. If I want to hear about bad beats, I'll watch Scott Van Pelt on, Monday or Tuesday night. Meanwhile, let's get right to it. Let's start with college. So here's how it goes. If you're new to the show, I picked the top five, what I consider good plays in college football, not ranked in any order, just the top 5. And then I will pick against every game in the NFL. At the end of the segment, I will have my best bet of the week. Could be college or pro, could be a side or a total. And the same thing, my underdog of the week, which last week was a 9-point underdog, and Syracuse won outright at Berkeley against Cal. So I should have done it where a system was, because my underdogs of the week now are 4-4, but they're really better than that, because against the spread it's like 6-2 against the spread. But if I did a point system where, like, Syracuse was +9 and they won outright, then I get 9 points. If a team had won by 2, was a 2-point underdog and won, I get those 2. But we digress. I'm just doing it by record. So my underdog of the week is 4-4 at 500. My best bet of the week is not good at 2-6 at a 250 winning percentage. Last week was BYU against Kansas, and missed on that one like a lot of other people did. Going to be a great game this week. Kansas hosting Colorado, by the way. That's going to be something. That may even be on the list. We'll see. All right, let's get right to it. Pigskin picks. Let's start with my college football picks. Early on at the Swamp, the Florida Gators are getting 10.5-point head start at home against Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels. Are they going to be cocky? Are they going to be overconfident? Lane Kiffin, big win this year at home recently against Georgia. I get it. But there's something about, I never thought I'd say this 5 weeks ago, but DJ Lagaway and Billy Napier and the Florida Gators playing some good football. I said this to Mia O'Brien yesterday up at 1010XL. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think Florida's going to give them a game. I'm taking the Gators plus 10.5. Go Gators! I can do that because it's not Florida State. But yeah, go Florida. Go Florida. Beat Mississippi. Florida plus 10.5. That's play number 1. Play number 2 next. One of the big games of the day. Everybody is going to be watching this one very closely. I will as well. This will be on laptop number 1 because the Canes and Wake will be on big TV number 1. I'm not sure what game I'll put on my phone. Probably Florida, Mississippi. What am I talking about? Indiana plus 12 on the road at Ohio State. What's it going to be? Are they going to show up? Can they make it again? They've been a very fundamentally sound football team. Their strength of schedule stinks. The strength of record is obviously pretty good because they're undefeated. I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to roll with the Hoosiers. Indiana plus 12. They're 0-30-1 against Ohio State lifetime, including, I believe, 27 straight losses. But nevertheless, I think Indiana is going to cover this game. I really do. Maybe backdoor. All they got to do is sort of keep it close. I think they're going to. I don't think they're going to be intimidated by the shoe. I don't. So we will see. But I like Indiana plus 12 at Ohio State. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Next. A little bit later on in the afternoon, that game I was telling you about, Colorado is a 3-point favorite on the road at Kansas. Another one of those tricky lines, right? Colorado's playing great. It's at Kansas. They've beaten Iowa State. They've beaten BYU. They're a tough little team for a team that's 4-6. A very hostile environment in Lawrence, Kansas coming up. But I'm going to go with Deion. Can't believe I have to do this, but I'm going to roll with Deion. Colorado -3. This should be a hell of a game. I wouldn't be shocked if it's landed right on the number. But I think Colorado wins by a touchdown. So I'll take Deion Sanders and Colorado -3 at Kansas. Next, to the SEC we go. The Alabama Crimson Tide are on the road in Oklahoma. Alabama is favored by 13.5. Oklahoma, where the wind comes running down the plain. Something like that. I'm not taking him. Alabama minus 13.5. Lay it. I think they roll. Oklahoma stinks. I think they stink. I think Shirley Jones was in that movie, by the way.
I think she was.
Partridge, Mrs. Partridge. In fact, I think she won. She might have won an Oscar for it, if I remember correctly. Meanwhile, all right, next. So, next one takes place at the Rose Bowl, where usually nobody goes anymore to watch UCLA. They play USC, UCLA at the Rose Bowl. And I like the over in this game, over 51.5 total points. Over 51.5. USC, UCLA, over 51.5 at the Rose Bowl. All right, that concludes the college picks. So recapping, Florida, plus 10.5. Indiana, plus 12. Colorado, Florida, plus 10.5, home against Mississippi. Indiana, plus 12 at Ohio State. Colorado, minus 3 at Kansas. Alabama, minus 13.5 at Oklahoma. And USC and UCLA, over 51.5 points at the Rose Bowl. So deal with that. Now to the NFL. I'm already 0-1 because even though I didn't officially pick it last night, I forgot to. I would have taken Pittsburgh minus 3.5. Honor system, because I'm an honorable guy. Already 0-1 for the week because I would have picked Pittsburgh. All right, next. Here we go. Kansas City laying 11 on the road against Carolina. You know how I feel about double-digit spreads in the NFL. Now, last week I laid the 14 with Detroit. It was a little shaky early as Jacksonville jumped out to a 3-0 lead. But then they scored like 52 straight points, so it didn't really matter. Same thing here with Kansas City. They get back on track after the Buffalo loss, and I think they pound Carolina. Kansas City minus 11. I'm laying it. I'm not taking Carolina plus 11. I hate their owner. Their team stinks. And I think Kansas City will rebound nicely here. Next up, this is the tough one. One of the toughest games on the board. The Bears, plus 3.5 at home against the Minnesota Vikings. Dangerous game here for Minnesota. Outside the Patriots, the Chicago Bears are very good at home, except for that one game against New England. But the Bears are very good at home. They're very good at home against the Vikings at plus 3.5. I think Caleb Williams is somewhat reborn. He looked like a completely different quarterback under the new offensive coordinator last week. So I think the Bears can not only cover, but they can win the game outright. I'm taking the Bears. The Bears, plus 3.5. Next up, the Houston Texans at home versus Tennessee. Houston is minus 8 at home. I love them here. They're rolling. Tennessee is terrible. They're 1-9 against the spread this year after last week losing to Minnesota. I am taking Houston minus 8 versus Tennessee. Next, this is a tricky one. The reborn, rejuvenated, the Renaissance man, Anthony Richardson, quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, is a 7.5-point dog at home against Detroit, the Red Hot Lions. Yada, yada, yada this, yada, yada, yada that. I'm taking the 7.5 points. I'm taking the Colts plus 7.5 here. Good spot here for Indy. If Anthony Richardson can play like that, they can keep it close. I think Detroit obviously is, going to win the game. But I am going to take the 7.5-point head start here on the Lions. Next up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mike Evans back. They are 6-point favorites at the Giants. Tommy DeVito, I don't think is going to do shit. I think Drew Lock will be in before the game is over. The Giants are a complete disarray. And I am taking my man Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at minus 6 against the Giants. And as I said yesterday, you look at the Buccaneers' schedule. This could be the beginning of an unbelievable, at 4-6 coming back. Look at the schedule. They get a chance to win out. The really only one tough game, I believe, is at the Chargers in a few weeks. But I think the Buccaneers, if they don't get any more serious injuries, have a chance to win out here. Starting Sunday against the New York Football Giants. Next up, Dallas is getting 11-point head start at Washington. This is another tough one, believe it or not. The Washington Commanders. Dallas sucks at home, but they don't suck on the road. I think this has backdoor cover written all over it. I really do. So I can't believe I'm doing this, but I am. Dallas plus 11 on the road against Washington. Dallas plus 11 on the road. I think Washington wins, but I think 11 points is too much. Dallas does play way better on the road than they do at home.
All right. We'll have to check your temperature. I think the temperature degrees got to your head there.
No, it's the NFL. I'm telling you, backdoor cover written all over it. I mean, you can see them being down by 20 points, right? Or by 15, 16 points, coming back and score a late touchdown. I'm telling you. No, I'm not falling into any trap. I know the NFL, and I know these kind of lines. They are begging you to take Washington, begging you. You watch. Dallas plus 11. Next, Denver on the road, -6 at Vegas. I love the Broncos in this spot as well. They'd be in the playoffs if they started today. Vegas is a mess. I know it's a divisional rivalry game, but I'm going to take Denver -6. Rick says I'm toast. Well, maybe not. It's not. Stranger things have happened. I am not toast. I am not toast. I'm an English muffin. Not Thomas's, because I don't like the way you have to pull them apart. And Thomas's English muffins have gotten much smaller. I don't care about nooks and crannies anymore. That used to be a thing back in the day. And they're very difficult to pull apart before you stick them in the toaster oven. I go with the other brand.
Did Luna put her paw over her face? Like, I can't believe Dad just picked that, really. Did he say Dallas?
Taking Dallas plus 11. Denver -6 at Vegas. Next up, Green Bay is a 2-point favorite at home against San Francisco. It looks like Trey Lance could play. He's questionable. I mean, Brock Purdy, I should say, is questionable in this game. Nevertheless, I like Green Bay at home here, -2. I love the Packers here at home, -2 against San Fran. Next up, Arizona. They are on the road, -1, a small favorite at Seattle. I know Seattle's played better the last couple of weeks, but I'm going with Arizona. That's a red-hot team. I love them. Arizona -1 in a big divisional matchup here. I'm going with Kyler Murray and the Cardinals to get it done at an overrated home field advantage now for Seattle, -1. And Sunday night, Philadelphia is a 3-point favorite on the road at the Rams. You know what their record is? I believe the last 8 games against the Rams, Angel?
What's that?
7-1. 7-1. They will find a way to win. Philadelphia, the Eagles, -3. And I think it's going to be a very entertaining game and high scoring, too. Philadelphia wins by at least 4 over the Rams. Philly at the L.A. Rams. That is my pick. Philly -3. So, and then the Monday night game, I have Baltimore -3 at the Chargers. We'll get into more of that on Monday. So to recap, Pittsburgh -3.5, Kansas City -11, Bears +3.5, Houston -8, Indy +7.5, Miami -7. Oh, I forgot. I skipped that one by accident. I'm picking Miami Dolphins -7 over the Patriots. I think Drew Lock will play well and they'll have a good game. Miami's just had their number. It's ridiculous the last 8 games. I think they're 7-1 against the Patriots. So, again, head over heart. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm taking Miami -7. Tampa Bay -6. Dallas +11. Denver -6. Green Bay -2. Arizona -1. Philadelphia -3. All right, quick break. When we come back, John Mita. Oh, I didn't give my best bet. My best bet of the week. Get this. You ready for this one, Angel?
Sure.
Over 61 in the Tulsa USF game. I don't know if you're covering that or not, but over 61 in the Tulsa USF game. Total points. My underdog of the week is the Bears. Bears +3.5. I think they win the game outright at home against Minnesota. So there are all your pigskin picks for this week. John Meter Perrell. Quick break. When we come back, Meter joins me, talks some more college football here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jimmy the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts, is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Last month, you might remember Tim Thomas, legendary Bruins goalie, returned on October 5th. What a turnout it was. And now a new event coming up. On Saturday, November 30th, it's Willie O'Ree. Yes, the original Jackie Robinson of the National Hockey League. He'll be signing autographs to the public, $25 each. There'll be photos, pucks, and cards available. Phone orders are welcome. Just call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there. Hey, everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The Pete Sheppard Show. It's fun for the whole family, if it's dysfunctional.
Saka. Hosrak sent it out in front of Malcolm to save this goal! Elias Leno once to the heavens. He steps that home. Power play goal. Bruins 1, Utah nothing.
Nothing. Ryan Johnston with the call last night. Andy Brickley too. And Nesson. Bruins win 1-0. I figured I played that again. For all the people listening up in New England, the Bruins get back on track because they're coming in from New England right now. One of my faves, and doesn't have to travel this week, is Boston College play-by-play voice, John Meter-Perrell, and also voice on ACC Network for College Hoops and ESPN, and does a show with Tim Welsh every Sunday on WEI. Good morning, Meter. How are you?
Morning. I'm good, Pete. Hanging in there after a trip to Dallas. I went to Jerry's World on Monday night.
Yes. How was that?
I went to the Mavericks game on Saturday. I had a nice boys' weekend.
Nice.
I saw Wembanyama, who on the street clothes. Yeah, load management for a 21-year-old superstar.
Yeah, just put up
50?
You just put up 50 the night before, right? Or 2 nights earlier.
That was ridiculous. It was absolutely.
I knew you were coming. I'm not playing for Meter. I'm sitting down.
Yeah, I went up to Cuba and I said, "Can you go talk to him? Can you put him on Shark Tank?"
Well, I'll tell you what, last week I watched the whole game, and that was a hell of an effort that BC had. Definitely a winnable game, no question about it. I think you guys, your Eagles played your butts off in that game. Hostile environment. I heard the fans were complete assholes, like Billy O'Brien. You don't hear that often from SEC, ACC stuff. This fan, but I guess they were really over-the-top jerks at SMU, huh? Really bad. For Billy O'Brien to come out and say something like that, that had to be really bad. Yelling at little kids and stuff, stupid.
Yeah, when they're yelling at women, they pretty much yelled at everybody on the BC sideline, all sorts of bad words you can only imagine.
Yeah.
And Bill is no prude, certainly, but as he said, he's been at every NFL stadium, every SEC stadium, Big Ten, you name it, and it was the worst he's ever heard. So that was unsolicited on my podcast on Monday, and I didn't know about it. We were on the opposite side. Yeah. I'll tell you what was ridiculous was the stadium was like half full. And if you consider yourself a college football playoff contender and you're not showing up on a beautiful day in Dallas for a really good game, what are you doing, SMU fans?
I don't know. It's weird. I'm sure Lashley was not happy about it as well. I don't get it. Look, I have the same problem here at Hard Rock with Hurricane fans sometimes, and I don't know what kind. I'm hoping for a good crowd tomorrow against Wake Forest, but I get the Florida State game. There's certain games they're sold out, standing room only, like that one, but they need more of that to happen here at Hard Rock too. And it sucks not having a stadium on campus, but that's another story for another time. So, so I know what it's like, because there have been times this year, even at Hurricane home games, where you're like, where is everybody? Why, I don't want to hear the weather excuse, but we'll see. Noontime tomorrow. Both games at noontime tomorrow. North Carolina at BC. But your overall impressions of how James played and the entire team, a ballsy effort, Meter, right? That was a damn good effort.
Yeah, no, it was. I think you got to get out of that though, and I know it drives
I know.
O'Brien crazy because
Yep.
effort's great, but you don't get points for that.
Yep.
So I think that's just assumed they're gritty kids. There's no question. He's really thrilled with their effort. He always talks about how hard they practice and how hard they play, but you got to give birth to the baby, Pete, and that's the bottom line.
You need to do that.
BC is, you've come close a lot this year, and we've said that the last couple of years. You have to figure out a way to win, and that's why tomorrow's an essential game. The next two, you have to win these next two games, or at least one of them. Get to bowl eligibility, get your 15 extra practices, which is vital, and then give you a nice launching pad for 2025. But just from a culture standpoint and a team stability standpoint, I think a bowl is really important.
Oh, there's no question about it. And I don't want the Fenway Bowl either. I mean,
That's not happening.
I'd rather have them go someplace else. Would you rather have them play at Fenway? Or would you rather come down?
No, Fenway can't happen because they won't pick them twice in a row. They might go to the Pinstripe. Who knows? I think Syracuse is probably pinpointed for that one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think if they win their last two games, you're looking at probably maybe the Sun Bowl, which is a good game.
Yeah,
CBS.
El Paso, right?
We have not been there. Do you know El Paso means the pass, which is
yes.
always
I also know UTEP is one of the worst college football programs in the last 50 years.
Oh yeah, they're long way from Tim Hardaway.
Oh,
did he play football? No, he played basketball.
Basketball.
But it's
hockey.
But we digress. So who knows?
Yeah.
You know the bowl structure. One thing I tell you, they won't go to a bowl before Christmas because that's not allowed.
Yep.
BC won't allow that because that conflicts with exams.
I don't care about exams. You know how I feel about exams. Win football games. Football games brings in money. Money means you can buy more players.
Clearly, a Phi Beta Kappa. Yes.
No, just the opposite of that. Whatever the opposite of Phi Beta Kappa is, that's me. I'm concerned about football games and football games only. And if you get an education, God bless you.
Yes,
God bless you.
yes.
I'm not here for the education. I'm here for wins.
You're not here for the education. You're here for the party.
North Carolina 6-2 all time in the series. They won 5 in a row in this one since BC won 20 years ago. Were you calling them back then? Yes.
No, I wasn't. That was the year before. That was the year before my first year.
You missed out. That was the Continental Tire Bowl in Charlotte.
Yeah, I did go back to that game, but when it was not the Continental Tire Bowl. But yes, that was a big game for the Eagles, and I believe you remember the fake field goal by Ryan Oliger as he ran it in for a touchdown.
Oh my God, I've totally forgot about that. Oh my God, yes, that's something. I do remember that. Great stuff. Mac Brown, this is going to be his last year. Legendary coach, obviously, but interesting. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. What matchups do you like here of BC and the Tar Heels in this one?
It's an old school matchup, Pete. You love this. You love the line of scrimmage games. Yeah. It's all about how BC can neutralize Omarion Hampton, who is the second best running back in the country.
244 yards last week against Wake, right?
Oh, he's an absolute beast. He's only had one game this year where he's not over 100. That was against Charlotte in week 2. 142 yards a game. He's got 15 touchdowns. He's going to go back-to-back 1,500 yards plus. Could be a first-round pick, probably a second because we know running backs don't go in the first round. But whoever gets him, he is going to be an NFL stud. Trust me on that one. Looks a lot like A.J. Dillon. Runs a little more upright than A.J. Dillon. Powerful. O'Brien says you got to get 3 guys at least around him to bring him down. Go low, Pete. Don't go high. You always went high. Go low.
What about Robichaux? What can he do against this Tar Heel defense?
I think Robichaux is going to continue what he's been doing. I think BC's offensive line has really come together nicely. Look what they did against SMU, who was yielding only 90 yards per game on the ground. BC punctured them for over 200. So Robichaux, I love this kid, Jordan McDonald. Diamond in the rough. He's averaging 8 yards a carry. This is going to be his 3rd game. He's a great change of pace, although he is kind of similar to Robichaux. They're both powerful backs. So if you like the rushing attack, this is your game. BC 64% on the ground this year. That's the highest number in the country for rushing the ball.
All right, in the quarterback matchup here with James versus Criswell, what do you like about Criswell? We know about your feelings about. We'll get to James in a second, but we know about James. What about Criswell?
Criswell's big. He's 230 pounds. He's a tank. So he's not, again, like Hampton. That's not an easy guy to bring down. I think he's good. I think he's acquitted himself well. They were expecting Max Johnson to start, but then he got hurt. Criswell started at UNC, left, came back, went to Arkansas, didn't play much, came back to UNC. So well traveled. He's been efficient. 59% is not great. But he can be dangerous. They don't really like BC. They don't chuck it around much. Tar Heels have run the ball 415 times. BC 414.
Wow, really interesting. There's a lot of great college football action going on this weekend. Wanted to get your thoughts on a couple of games, not just in the ACC, but in my pigskin picks, I'm picking Indiana plus 12 to hang around, and I really, really hope they give Ohio State a game. We'll get into the college football playoff with you in a second here in the rankings, but let's start with that one. You believe Indiana can give Ohio State a game? I think I know the strength of schedule. We know all that stuff, but bottom line, fundamentally sound football team. What are your thoughts on the Hoosiers giving Ohio State a run here at the Shoe tomorrow?
Yeah, no, I think they definitely can give him a game. I haven't been wowed by Ohio State. I like the fact they have 4 backs. I like the fact that Howard's had his moments, but he's also looked pretty bad at times. So coughing the ball up. So I think Indiana will hang around. I'm not sure they're going to win, but I do like your pick there. I think Indiana. I love how everybody's. It's a crutch for all of us, who are in college football media. Oh, their strength of schedule stinks. That's not their fault.
Yeah, exactly.
They're playing the schedule. They're doing exactly what they need to do. They win the games and they move on. This could be a 1 possession, 2 possession type game. I think Rourke is very efficient. I love what Signetti's done. He's talk about a culture, man. He's built that in
what an extension he got.
Seemed like 24 hours. Yeah, so I hope it's a game because people like you are going to be, there's going to be probably 10, 15 million people watching this thing, and I hope they're entertained. It's a good big nooner. You love the big nooners, and
I wish that one was at night. Like I liked last week when you guys were playing at 3:30, and that was like for me that was one of my games of the day. I have to really worry about what I'm going to put on my laptop or on my phone. Because with YouTube TV, I can watch a whole bunch of games at once. But I like the quad box, but only at certain times and everything. So like last week, I had BC, SMU on the big screen. And then a couple of other games, one on my laptop, one on my phone. So I like it when there's a certain order. When there's not 3 huge games at noon to 3:30 or at night. But
seems like there's been a lot of important games at noon this year, which is I think a product of Fox getting first call on some of these
11
games.
o'clock in a lot of places.
Yeah, wake up with the Hoosiers.
No question.
But no, I think you're on the right track. I wouldn't see this as a blowout.
I thought Jim Phillips made some good comments this week on the ACC network and about SMU and Miami. And I understand that. I'm getting fed up. I went on a couple of rants this week. I am so sick and tired of the Big Ten and SEC snobbery that is out there, and thinking that teams like Miami, Clemson, and SMU, just to name 3, could not beat up on some of the Big Ten teams. I can tell you this: all 3 of those teams I just mentioned, I think would beat Penn State straight up. I don't care where they played. All 3 of them. If Oregon played the way they did last week against Wisconsin, I could see all 3 of those ACC teams. Everybody has flaws. Every team has flaws. The ACC is getting shit on, I think, way too much because of these Big Ten idiots in that committee room. The new committee chairman's a Michigan guy. I don't know how much football these people are watching. It's not going to be a perfect system. I get it. It's not going to be a perfect system. But some of the comments that are being made and the lack of disrespect for some of the teams in the ACC, I think it's frustrating. And just let me in closing, and then I want to get your thoughts. I went on a whole rant last week, and now I'm taking a giant step back and just breathing because I think myself and guys like Feinbaum and others, going on and on about how the committee sucks and this, that, and the other. Look, it's not a perfect system. Just like March Madness is not a perfect system. You're not going to get this year the quote unquote 12 best teams. You don't get the 68 best teams in March Madness. It's always going to be imperfect. Even if you had 100 teams in this college football playoff tournament, it would be somebody would be bitching and moaning. But I do say that when it's all said and done, I think it'll play itself out. But I think the ACC has been a little bit disrespected this year, partly because Clemson got whacked by Georgia in week 1, which I don't think would be the case if they played now. And Miami didn't get on their schedule. They didn't have a lot. They didn't get to play Clemson this year. They only got to play Louisville. They didn't get to play Pittsburgh. So they kind of get the short end of the stick there. They still would get a home game if the playoffs started today. But your overall thoughts on college football rankings / seedings and your feelings on the ACC getting shafted a little bit nationally?
Yeah, no, I think valid. Everything you just said was valid. We talked about this last week. I really think you need a streamlined system. What that means is let's have a commissioner. Let's have someone at the head of the table. Let's have someone that actually is we know we can go to for a comment. Someone who can make sure that they have this thing on the right track. It's a very inexact system, as you mentioned. I think suddenly here we are at 12 teams, and now people are hoping for 16. And then they're going to be hoping for 24. And then it's going to be 32. So 1 year for 12. Who knows? Maybe that will only be 2 years. Then they go to 16. I know Bill O'Brien wants 16. I think a lot of coaches want 16, obviously, because that opens it up even more. ACC, as Pat Narduzzi has said the last 2 weeks, the Pitt coach, he thinks it's the best conference because every team from top to bottom can beat anybody. And it's true. You saw that with Stanford last week.
Mm-hmm.
Stanford knocked off Louisville.
That was disgusting, by the way.
I know it was. That's a horrendous loss.
Disgusting. Yeah.
But that's the point, is that the league has parity, and I think Jim Phillips was building around that this week. Parity's not a bad thing. Parity makes for entertaining football. Parity makes for you go to a game knowing, you know what, your team is going to be in this. And that's college football. I think Oregon, a lot of people love Oregon. They have flaws, as you said. Everybody has flaws.
Lost last week. They should have. They easily could have.
Right.
Lost last week.
And the SEC, I'm not saying the SEC doesn't have good teams. Of course the SEC has good teams, but it's a little bit more top-heavy this year. And I think the good news for the ACC, I don't know about SMU. SMU, I think, was exposed a little bit last week, but we'll see. And they've done their job. They've won games. I'm not saying that. But good for them if they end up making the playoff. But I think from top to bottom, the ACC is just as strong as anybody.
But I think the beauty of March Madness, is you get – you and I watch a ton of college basketball outside of the Big East and the ACC. So, it's different for us. But, for some people, the MAC champion coming in, just Miami of Ohio or something, and then upsetting. That's the beauty of the tournament. I love the fact I'd love to see Boise State get in and get a home game on the Smurf turf and see a Heisman Trophy candidate like Genty, go up against one of the top. I think that is fascinating to me. I think it's something that has been sorely missed in college football. Okay, maybe top to bottom, they're not as good as an Alabama or a Georgia. I understand that. But we'll never know unless they play. That's the beauty of sports. Wouldn't you love to see like a Georgia-Boise State game on the Smurf turf? I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I would. And then, we'll probably bemoan it after Boise State loses by 3 touchdowns and the game's over at halftime. But I'm with you. It does give you a sense of there's a Cinderella aspect. Look, Army's a great story. It's probably going to all come to an end tomorrow when they lose to Notre Dame. But that's a terrific story. And Jeff Monken says, hey, everybody's talked about Army this week. If you're an Army fan, this is their biggest game since 1946. And Jeff Monken's like, what, do you want me to tell my guys about 1946? I'm not going there with this crop of 2024s. So good, great story. If there was 32 teams, Army would be in it. There's not 32 teams. So which is why I hope there is eventually, whatever it is, 24, 32, throw it out there. Open it up, Pete. I you love the upsets. You and I regaled in Villanova beating Georgetown.
Oh, yeah. Yep. The Army has not trailed in a game this year.
I know. The only team in the country has not trailed. And it's, again, they're a product. Are they a product of the schedule? Sure, but they're winning games. And they're beating teams they have to beat. They've won close games. They've won games by blowouts. They have a really good quarterback in Bryson Daly, who looks a little bit like Tim Tebow, the way he runs.
I know you're right. But we've seen lesser teams like in the we've seen lesser teams like in Navy back in the day go into South Bend as big underdogs and win. We've seen it.
We have. I just don't know if that's possible tomorrow. Notre Dame's good. Notre Dame's had a really nice bounce back, and they should be. They're loaded. They got plenty of talent. Really good quarterback, as Riley Leonard has shown that. You saw that last year with Duke, and he's gotten better. So I would be pretty much stunned if they lose tomorrow.
Well, Meter, the other game, or the other story, the other college football stories that are fascinating, and I'm proud to say that basically we had it here first yesterday before ESPN had it, and that is we had it on Tuesday. Basically, that Bryce Underwood was going to flip at LSU and go to Michigan, and my sources were telling me he's getting about $12 million to go to Michigan, which is fine, which is fine, but. Our Massachusetts brother, Brian Kelly, I think this is his only chance to save his job was to keep that guy at home, keep the guy at LSU. Not going to happen. He's going to from Belleville, Michigan, 30 minutes away from Ann Arbor. He lost him. Brian Kelly's going to be unemployed at the end of the year.
I would think you're probably onto something. I don't know. They owe him so much money, and I know that everybody says that doesn't matter, but still, I can't believe
it matters in Florida State because they can't let Norvell go. They got to wait at least another year. That's a different situation there.
Florida State definitely matters.
Yeah, well, I know Ken Kelly's due about $60 more million, but they're calling for his head. I think they're going to have a tough game with Vanderbilt this weekend.
I think Vanderbilt's going to beat him.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
I love that game. So no, what will surprise me? No, I mean $60 million. They'll get 2 boosters to write that check. But what a joke! I mean, what a shambles! What a state of. If you want to talk about lack of stability in a profession, I know Brian Kelly's a doofus, and I don't like him more than anybody. But that's really an inability to establish anything, to get anything built. You got to go in there in 2 years and be a college football playoff team.
You left out the buzzword culture.
Yeah,
identity.
That's a good one.
What's the identity? Got to change scheme. Got to change the scheme.
The scheme is very important. I heard Jason Garrett say, it's like with Mad Dog Russo yesterday. He said identity is a good word for football because identity to him defines in this way. You can bring, let's say, Pete Sheppard, a football expert, into a room and they can watch Josh Allen play quarterback and say, man, you'd say, man, he's an outstanding player. And then you could bring, let's say, I don't know, Mother Teresa into a room and watch Josh Allen play quarterback. And she would say, boy, that guy's really, really good. So Pete Sheppard and Josh Allen know the identity, or Pete Sheppard and Mother Teresa know the identity of Josh Allen. That's identity.
I have never been compared or put in the same sentence as Mother Teresa before. I guess I should be honored. Hey, how about Jesus? What was I going to say? I forget what I was going to say. Last night in the blizzard last night, after the game, or actually in the pregame, between the Browns and the Steelers, great game with Jameis Winston. Why could I just had a freaking major brain fart? Talking about God and God made it snow by playing in the snow and all that stuff. And once again, the Lord, whatever God you believe in, was not over on the Pittsburgh Steelers sideline at the end of the game.
No, he wasn't.
Nowhere to be found. And, Jameis is doing snow angels with the whole Amazon crew in the end zone. That was something, though. An early blizzard. It was tough to take your eyes off that game. That was a lot of fun. Al Michaels, couldn't see anything. It was great.
Yeah, no, that was the tapestry of football, Pete, that you love so much. And, yeah, Hanukkah Harry was not on the side of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
How about the meter and for Pete as well? How about Al Michaels? It took him a little bit. You know how they were banging on that? It was like a metal fence or whatever it was. It must have been below them. And finally, the cameraman figured out where it was coming from. I think he thought, which I think a lot of people thought, it was like gunshots in the very beginning because the way the guys were hitting it. And he was like, "Oh, thank God we found out what the noise is." But Meter, are you moving? Or are you getting ready to put up Christmas decorations?
I'm not nothing of the above. I'm in a basement right now, and just why do you say that?
Because usually you're positioned elsewhere, and I see this stuff behind you. I figured, oh, maybe he's getting ready for it. And by the way, for those in Florida who have no idea what a basement is, you want to explain to them what a basement is?
Basement is a place
Meter's
to go
Jewish, by the way. Meter's Jewish, by the way. It was funny. Alyssa Lang was telling a story the other day on SEC Network how she wished Bruce Pearl a Merry Christmas for Auburn last year, and she's like, "Oh shit!" I got that was she went up on a pop, and he said he's like, "Look, in our house, we celebrate Christmas, we celebrate Hanukkah, we celebrate everything." So I think you're kind of that way too, right? I mean,
Yeah, my kids are the happiest Jews on Christmas. my ex-wife is Catholic, although she converted. Now she's Jewish. So
yeah,
but they still do celebrate Christmas, Pete. Yes, and yes, Bruce Pearl definitely will be passing the matzo ball with me. The pride of Newton, Mass.
Should have been at BC as a head coach. Should have been there.
He was Baldwin the Eagle. He was the mascot when he was an undergrad.
I
at BC.
know. And then some of the stuff happened at Tennessee and BC. I mean, just think about it, if they had hired him.
I just saw that text. Meter looks like he's being held against his will in the basement with his beard.
That was from Joey B.
Yeah, thanks. Who's that from? Joey B.
Joey B. Yeah.
Joey B. I am on my free will right now. I'm getting my beard trimmed today at the 818 Salon in Westwood, Mass. So
how much does that cost?
$20
in Weston, Mass. $20 for something you do at your house for nothing.
Westwood.
Oh, Westwood. Oh, not West End. You're from the mean streets of Weston, correct?
I'm from the mean streets of Weston, but yes, Westwood. Well, Pete, you know how it is. You need that special touch. My girl Linda gives me a special touch.
I'm sure she does. Anything above the equator. Fantastic.
Hey, how about Robert Kraft not making the Hall of Fame again?
What is going on? I mean, come on. It is embarrassing.
Like that
is absolutely embarrassing.
I just don't get it because say what you want about him. You can love him, you can hate him. The guy has done a lot for the league, especially building up a TV empire. You know, he's always been on the TV committee. He's clearly been, one of their builders.
Patriots.com was the first NFL website for a team out there.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I worked for him. It's funny, I still have one of my checks somewhere that's signed by him. I did work there for a year.
You and I both worked there. It's
yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know that process. I will say that I am thrilled that Luke Kuechly is a semifinalist.
Awesome.
He will make it. I hope he should, and I will be there in Canton when he's inducted.
Awesome. You should give it. You got it. I mean, you were lucky to get to see him for as long as you did. That was fantastic. One of the great
3 years,
players, not just at BC, but in the country. Phenomenal player.
He won every major defensive trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you, winning every broadcasting trophy known to man.
I come in second all the time.
Hey, your boy Joe Castiglione was honored last night.
Oh, that's great. He should be. That's fantastic.
By the Mass Broadcasters Association. And before I leave, Pete, I know you talked about this week, but you and I both mourning the loss of Larry Johnson, who you and I knew very well, worked closely with. And those of you who don't know Larry Johnson, it's a shame you never met him because he was a true gentleman. He was a pioneer in sports cartooning, if that's a word.
Yep.
And just an all-around really good guy.
And the man never said a bad word about anybody. I think our friend Jerry Callahan put out a tweet this week. And so he was the first one to call you in good times and in bad. He supported the station, everything, a lot of bullshit that happened at our place back in the day. And, your show was part of it. My show's been part of it. Some of the crap that went on. And I'd never heard the man say a bad word about anybody. Anybody. And if he didn't like you, maybe he'd be silent about it. But he was funny as hell. The show with Craig Mustard that he used to have on Saturdays, and then with Dick Raditz, the creature, the preacher, the teacher, and the creature. One of the great show names of all time. They had a lot of fun doing their thing. Larry was a true gentleman, a man of God, but didn't preach it but didn't shove it in your face.
No. We always said
one of my favorite Larry Johnson moments was back when we were on Huntington Avenue back in the day.
Yep.
Where you couldn't park anywhere.
Well, I remember. Try parking there at 4:30 in the morning.
That was easier than parking at parking at noontime. Only times my car got towed over the years, the few years that we were in that building before we moved to Brighton. I can't even tell you. Everybody always had a secret spot.
Secret spot, yeah.
Andy and Brett would have to go down and fill the meters for the guests that were on the show.
Did they really? Well, we were in that garage that we had to. We called it Heroin Alley. We had to walk through Heroin Alley.
After a few months, I finally got a pass to be in that garage, but not every employee got to park in that garage.
Oh, okay.
Initially, I had to park on the street, try to find a street spot, and they were like, none in that area. But one of the funniest times, Larry was on the show, and I forget who else was with him, but there were some two well-known porn stars or something that were doing the rounds at the other stations, back then, and not the stuff that happened on the morning show. I don't think you were there yet, or were you?
I was there.
Not that.
I witnessed that. I did play-by-play for that.
That's right. For those of you, I'll tell that story. But anyway, so this woman came in and she took her top off and everything else, and she was like. And Larry closed his eyes and put his hands over his face and turned away. And then it didn't last. The whole thing lasted like 10 seconds. But this is a point. We got to tell this story. I mean, it's creepy, disgusting, but nevertheless. So the old show with Dennis and Callahan and Meter, and there is evidence to prove that this happened because of the burn mark that happened. And you had a stripper. I don't know if it came in last second or whatever happened, but. Let's put it this way. She lit part of herself on fire and left a mark on the wall.
That is correct. Jesus. She wanted me to light a cigarette on a special body part. And I was calling play-by-play. Oh, my God, the burning bush.
Very religious.
Yes, I was trying to think of special words to describe what I was witnessing. And... The late great Bob Newmeyer was there.
Yeah, that's right. I remember Glenn called me because you listen to this. I go, yeah, it wasn't on TV back then. I kept saying, is he making this up?
No, we were not making it up. Yeah. And it was Jerry, me, Newmy. I think Felger might have been there I remember Felger being there. Mm-hmm. It might have been like four of us on the show. I don't know why, but it was the old studio. There was a burn mark. In the corner, we called that that was our only retired burn mark.
And where was she from? I forget. Was she a porn star or a stripper?
I think she was a porn star. Yeah,
I don't remember her name, but and nothing really came of it except some of the media writers, right? Nothing really. Oh, of course, leaving a mark on the wall wasn't good.
We know who. Guess who worked after us? A guy named Dale Arnold.
Oh, Dale and Eddie, right after you guys.
Yeah, I don't think Dale was thrilled with that.
No, he wasn't. No.
He was not. No, but it was classic morning radio. It was something that we pulled off. It was theater. Jerry's like, oh, we'll just tell people we made it up. I'm like, Jerry, I don't think even if we made that up, we're not that creative. So.
Somewhere I gotta find the tape of that. You doing the play-by-play. That is absolutely priceless. And that was before you inherited. You started with take a bow. You didn't want to take a bow that day.
I would have asked her to take a multiple bow.
Oh man,
she was a handful, Angel. If you know what I mean.
I bet it sounds like it.
Not in Philadelphia, Sports Talk Radio, did you get that right, Angel? They don't do that.
Never.
Did you guys ever have porn stars in studio?
In Philly, never.
Never?
Nope. I mean, they may have been invited as far as like to talk if there was a new one that came into town, but as far as what you guys experienced, no friggin' way. And I think maybe one, if that. And I think that was like during Howard Stern days, and that was about it. Over at 94, but yeah, no way.
Yeah, we also had Cade McNown's girlfriend on, who was a part of a love triangle.
Yeah.
And I think it was McNown and another quarterback at the time. Do you remember that?
I do.
She came on too, and she was like a 20 on a 10. She was like, I literally couldn't talk. He was one of those that stops you in your tracks. And I'm thinking, Cade McNabb. Oh, if I was a left-handed quarterback. It was Tim Couch. It was Cade McNabb, Tim Couch.
That's right, Tim Couch.
It was
from Kentucky.
The year of the first-round picks, the kid from UCLA and the kid from Kentucky were swapping this girl.
The stories that you get out of the basement. That's why Floridas have basements for stories like that.
Exactly. People have basements. For those of you in Florida, people have basements, as Pete knows, to escape their spouses. That's why people have basements.
Man caves, as they call them now, some of them. But yeah, I mean, and that's what it is. Oh man! All right, Meter. We'll look forward to that. Tell that story before the pregame against BC North Carolina. Tell that story pregame. Maybe it'll come up. Have Pete Cronin lead you into it.
Oh yeah, no, I think Pete would have passed out if he was there.
Pete Cronin, Super Bowl winning for the Washington Redskins at the time. Player done. How many years you guys been together now?
We're going out. Next year's our 20th.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna celebrate with it. We're gonna celebrate like it's 1999.
Great stuff. All right, Meter. Good luck tomorrow. We'll look forward to BC North Carolina. I'll definitely be watching on one of my devices. No question about it. So take care. We'll talk next week. Thanks so much.
All right, boys. I'm gonna go light a cigarette.
Harry Meter.
Have a good weekend.
That day was freaking priceless. And I remember we were playing highlights of that on our afternoon show back in the day on the big show. That was like it was the talk of the whole area. People like, can you believe it? Can you believe
Yeah, but you know what? That's what made radio classic though back in the day, because when you couldn't see it, like if you were describing it to the point, because everybody cranks up like I can't pass 10. Where's volume 100? Because it was the best. Especially like if you can give the ultimate play-by-play like that and describing what Meter described, oh my God, would that be freaking great?
Unfortunately, Gabe Morency sent me a text, Angel. He had to cancel today. He had something come up, so we're going to talk to him hopefully next Wednesday when I do my whole pick-a-palooza type thing with 8,000 games as well. I'll probably do 10 college, and then I'll do all the NFL games next Wednesday. But so what is coming up on the network today? You're coming up at 10 o'clock this morning. Certainly a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. A lot of it we didn't even get to. Didn't even get the chance to talk about American League and National League MVP. Not there's much to discuss. Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, yippee-ki-yay. Cool. That's about it for baseball talk. But certainly you got a lot of stuff, to get to. Plus you got your picks. So what's coming up on your show and the network the rest of the day?
Yep. So Martinez is coming here. It's coming up right after Pete Sheppard show. And so USF talk is obviously the women had won. So recapping what happened there on Wednesday night, which seems like forever, as they now head to Orlando at the Disney Wild World of Sports Center as they have their State Farm weekend series, the Invitational. So they'll be playing. The men are playing in South Carolina. Everybody knows, you heard Robbie talk about it yesterday. So
did you see what happened at the end of that game?
Huh?
You see what happened at the end of the FAU game yesterday against Oklahoma State?
No, I missed it.
They had like security. I still don't know the whole story. They had security on the floor, not for FAU. Something happened with Oklahoma State in their locker room or something, and freaking security was on the floor. It was a big time mess. I still don't know the whole gist of the story, but
holy crap!
Continue. So so we got that. What else? What else?
Our usual party line, which normally starts up at about 10:30, and then we have our weekly 5 picks. So that'll be coming up, and some more NFL talk, and then Q will be later on, Rich, at 5 o'clock this evening. So the Drive with Q will be back tonight at 5. And as always, as we ask everybody, as I continue to update and revamp the website, to take a look at especially the USF section, because at the very bottom of it, I have a unique and creative way where I've got the post-game conference up there. So you guys take a look, and hopefully you'll enjoy it.
Andrew, you're the man. Thanks so much to all my guests, John Mina Perrell, Aaron Parsegian, and Jay Flannelly. Great stuff. Have a great and safe weekend, everybody. Enjoy all your football. I am Pete. I am back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Joey, don't go anywhere. He says, have a great weekend, fellas. Angel, quick break, and then Angel will be joining you guys again in about 17 minutes or so. I'm back to Monday at 7 a.m. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you. Thanks.